Welcome everyone to the third open practices for the Anger Games. With me today are Wingnut Cross, who
G'day there, mate.
you see on video in the top right,
Yeah,
and
right.
Zuro, who is looking a bit less animated on the top left.
Good evening.
Much better looking though.
Because we have a different broadcaster today, being McLeod, we are running a bit late, so we're going to go through this a bit faster than usual. So I'm going to hand this off to you two.
Alrighty then. So everyone remember as well, this is only a practice. This is not the actual tournament. So you may see some weird stuff, some silly stuff. Like for instance, one team we're seeing today has not banned anything anywhere at all. So they're actually the first team playing as well. So what do you think of that one, Zoo?
And they're already warping over to the arena, so we'll see what the strategies are once they start warping in. While this is a practice setup, so it's open, so they can bring whatever they want, and it is live information that everyone can see happening, we are still featuring bans. So for this match, while the one team hasn't banned, we do still have bans from the other side. If you can go over those, Wingnut.
No worries. They're all bans I would go for as well. Vindicator, Balgorn, and a Blackbird. Getting rid of the Blackbird is a cheap ECM option, so that's just gone. Balgorn's a good control ship, and Vindicator, I mean, come on, you have to ban the Vindy because the Vindy's the best ship in the game.
Yeah, especially warping at 0. DPS kind of does seem to be a bit of a feature in these smaller matches, although with the less numbers, matches can be a bit grindy, which is why you might see something like a Blackbird getting banned out a lot. You know, having those all those mids for bans, you get an opportunity where you can almost take out the majority of the DPS on another team, and it becomes a really uphill battle from there. So that's generally why ECM is a priority ban for most people, especially in a smaller format like this.
Oh yeah, and also you mentioned was it's like cheap ECM. Like they didn't ban out Rook and what's the other one, Falcon, but they did ban out the Blackbird. They didn't ban out Griffins because Griffins suck, but you know they banned out the more common one.
And speaking of ECM ships on the EWAR side, we're actually seeing a Mollis come in here. I believe that is the T1 Galenti sensor dam ship, which is an interesting choice. It's actually 2 of them here. Now, interesting thing to note is targeted EWAR is not allowed any form of script. So while they will have sensor dampeners, they will be not allowed to use any script. So they'll be going damping on both scan resolution and targeting range at the same time. So not that effective, to be honest.
Yeah, but that's why they didn't bring one of them. They brought more than one.
That's very true. Now, what else we see here featuring is, as you spoke before, we actually have that Rook. So it does seem we'll have a bit of an ECM matchup, though. Both teams do seem to be going, I wanted to say armor, but now I see we actually have 2 Nagas with no Logi, if I'm correct.
Yeah, and the other side also well has 2 Geelers. So Nagas and Geelers, there's nowhere it's an armor comp.
Right, and if we look in at the weapon systems on that Naga, we can actually see that it's got railguns featured. So, if I'm correct, I might be bad. I've had a bad history of calling
those
weapons
are railguns
before.
Yeah,
yeah, those look like railguns to me. No,
yeah,
so it looks like. So it looks like that they don't have any logi, but they might be looking to going for a cutting option. With the 2 dummies as well, they'll be dropping drones and running around, so that's quite easy for them. The Nagas might be a bit of a rough story. Skybreaker is a bit of an odd choice, I'd say, for Kaidi comp, but then again, it's a cheap ship. It's got a bunch of mids for tackle. It's tanky and it's fast.
I'm very curious. That Naga option is definitely interesting. Dual Dominics as well. Absolute potatoes. Ho would be loving this right about now.
And if we look over at the Gillas, they seem to be featuring rapid light missiles, or rather classic option on a Gilla, to be honest. So they'll be quite good in taking out any ship which looks to be tackling. But speaking of tackling, if we look over to the red team here, we're not seeing much in the way for them to secure any tackles besides that Hugin for the Hyperions.
Oh yeah, Hugin's going to be big for sure. That Hugin's going to be pretty much all their control. I suspect we're going to see the Nagas try and obliterate the Hugin, just to remove that, like, honestly, the most effective part of their comp. If the Hugin goes down, doesn't matter what these Morses do, they're going to get caught. And the timer is going down, 2, 1, and we're starting off.
Right, we see links coming from the Pontifex. Now, the Pontifex only has bonus to information armor links, so it won't be giving the Hugin huge bonuses to its webs, although that Hugin is slow for the bat if they're looking for that initial tackle.
Yeah, I'm watching at the moment, seeing what these Dominixes are doing. They are dropping medium armor bots at the moment, I believe. Unless I'm crazy, which is always possible.
There's tons of 2s going out, which is actually allowed in this tournament right now. Normally, you would see T1 damage bots being featured, but a feature in Anger Games right now is we're allowing T2 damage bots. You still need T1 rep bots, but T2 damage bots are coming in. Those sentries are pounding the Hugin.
Oh yeah, that's expected. That Hugin is kind of like the linchpin of that comp. It's going to allow those Hyperions to do whatever they wish, and if that goes away, they can just obliterate the rest of this comp and just run away from Hyperions.
After that, you could technically say that the Rook might be the next target, which they already taken to shields.
Yep.
But one single ECM ship is generally a bad choice. The reason for it is with the ECM changes, you get the tunnel effect, whereas anything that Rook jams will still be able to target the Rook. That means with only one ECM ship, it doesn't matter if he jams their DPS, all the DPS can still kill him, which they're doing right now. You normally want 2 ECM ships so they can cover for each other. So while the one is getting pounded, the other ECM ship will start jamming DPS off, forcing them to constantly cycle between the 2. And there goes the Rook.
Yeah, and the other option as well is you bring Logi, which this team brought none of that either. So they didn't bring a second ECM boat to try and bounce off of, nor did they bring Logi to try and rep him, which is the other key thing. So now that Hyperion, look at the Hyperion going straight down the low arm into Hull now. He's some rep cycles now, he's starting to rep, but that's a lot of damage incoming. Look at Dominic's as well. Wow.
Oh, it looks like it's gone to a brawling match now, but I'm going to assume it is Hull Tank. That's one advantage Galante normally has. But I'm surprised as Hyperions are going down because they have the bonus to armor reps. Normally you might see them and go dual reps. I'm not too sure what their fits are, but they just seem to almost have no buffer. They're just melting.
Their minimum gun Dominic's, I can see. I think there might be autocannons. No, they're not. They're going to be blasters, surely. But yeah, they're just obliterating things. Those would be like maximum tank Dominic's with a lot of newts. And yeah, like that. The second Hyperion is down. Now it's just a Pontifex and a Morse left. I think at this point, they're just cooked, mate. Nothing they can do.
Nothing they can do. Interesting thing that I note while I'm looking at Dominic's, it looks like it has autocannons fit, which honestly isn't that. The one I'm looking at here, Silver Fusion. I might be incorrect about that.
Oh, it actually does. Yeah, it actually does. You're right. I was right the first time, but it actually does have autocannons fitted. What?
Most of the damage you might actually see. No, Dominic's does have pure damage to drone bonuses. The Fed Navy is where it has a hybrid bonus between the drones and the turrets. Normally, what you'd see these drone boats do, the EOS, the Dominic's, the Ishtar, those sort of things, is they'll actually normally flood their highs with newts, which becomes a huge harassment options. But what they might have favored for the turrets over the newts is because they decide to come in at a longer range. So they thought those newts would just be a waste for fitting space, as they clearly wiped the match now.
Yeah. I haven't seen it with autocannons before, but obviously, as you said, Dominic's can fit everything in the highs, smart bombs, newts. They can fit blasters, small blasters, doesn't matter what it is. But I think they went for autocannons to keep the cap stability so they can save the capacitor for their newts. And it did really well. I mean, I don't think that was a clean sweep. It seems like it probably was. It just obliterated everything.
They just ended up losing that one Dominic's. It doesn't seem like the Dominic's were focused too much on kiting. I'm not too sure if that was just tunnel focus and stuff, but they clearly made the right decision, like you said, going for that Hugin, because without the Hugin, those Hyperions were going to have a bad time catching anything, because they catch a Dominic's, that's cool, but then they have the issue of what do they catch next? And then, hey, maybe they killed this Dominic's, but then after that, what they're going to chase Gilas and Nagas around, it's a huge uphill battle from there after they lose their tackle.
I'm curious to see if you agree with me here. You think the first target they should have gone for should have been a Naga, right? Take up a Naga, get rid of that DPS.
It's hard to say. I mean, I don't think they... At that point, I'd say they have to go for what they can get, because with the Hugin down, it's just, you have to take what you can get at that point.
Exactly, beggars can't be choosers. I'm talking about before that.
Definitely, I would say, like, if they had, if it was equal opportunity, Nagas would be the best bet. These attack battle cruisers generally have high output, low tank, because they feature large weapon systems on a medium class hull. So normally a battle cruiser would be featuring medium guns. Those are normally what we call combat battle cruisers or command ships. We have this, but these are attack battle cruisers, which have power grid for fitting bonus for large weapon systems, which allows them to fit battleship sized weapons on them to output heavy DPS at the cost of reduced HP. So they have the damage of the battleship, they don't have the tank of it. So they're definitely a good option to get off the field as soon as possible.
I agree that they had to get rid of the Nagas, because that's also about, I don't know what it is with railguns, but it should be about 800 to 1,000 DPS per Naga. in, as you said, like the least tanky profile. The Gilas, of course, are Gilas. What do you say about them? Overly tanked, overly damaging, just ridiculous ships. They get banned 90% of the time.
Especially in this format where we're allowing T2 damage drones to be featured, things like the Rattlesnake and the Gila become really, really scary ships. Normally what you see a Gila take a role of is actually a heavy tackle ship, because it has a resistance bonus and it relies on most of its drones for damage. It can actually go in and hold something down, be a nuisance, and while still putting out ridiculous amounts of damage. So Gilas are also mighty scary ships in this format.
Yeah, I also agree, because they can also be very versatile as well. They don't have to charge, and even if they're fitted with a scram and hold things down, they can still just run away for a bit of time, have drones and missiles on targets, and then when they decide to, whenever they want to, turn in and do exactly what you said, tackle a key target down. They're way too good. CCP, please nerf.
And it was interesting that match is like the team with no bans ended up winning. So the team that lost there. So what you could say is like they banned the Dwagon because they were fearing that it's a control ship with its webs. It doesn't have the same bonus, the huge bonus as a Hugin, but it can generally web out to 30 kilometers with heats and links and so on. But those newts would still be a huge nuisance to the Hyperions, which they would have seen as their main focus. The Vindicator, obviously, Hyperions warping in at 0 wouldn't want to brawl a Vindicator at 0 there. And the Blackbird, I don't know.
Yeah. Hyperion beats Vindy every time, at least as far as I'm concerned.
Well, if it's two Vinnies versus two Hyperions, it's debatable. Yeah. It depends about the core setup. Like if it were a pure slog match of two Hypes versus two Vinnies with no outside interference, I would definitely put my money on the Hypes, just due to them being able to have more self-sustain. So it would almost be like them having to kill 4 Hyperions versus 2 Vinnies.
Yeah, it always depends on the support fleet, but one-on-one, I'll definitely take the Hyperion over the Vindy, which is a shame because the Vindy is my favorite ship of all time. I mean, come on, you gotta love it. I
believe I'm not. Does the Hyperion has 8 turret slots, doesn't it, or does it have any spare utilities?
It has a spare utility high slot as well as the ability to self-rep up the Vindicator's damage.
And does a Vindicator feature any utility highs?
Negative. Actually, does it? Hold on, wait a minute. Before I say that, I'm pretty sure it does have one, doesn't it? I can't remember now. It's been a while since I've flown.
It's been a while as well. I normally do. No, it does have one utility high as well, I believe. Yeah.
Yep.
No, turret hard points 8. I think we're wrong on this. It's 8 turret hard points with 8 high slots. So that might be another advantage that the Hyperion has over the Vindy, is just featuring that smart bomb to clear any rep bots, which might be saving those Vindies.
Oh no. I'm so sorry for being wrong, guys. Please don't roast me, but you're right. It doesn't have a utility high, so the Hyperion gets that. And honestly, in this format, that utility high could be really powerful. It could be a nuke, it could be a smart bomb. I don't know if you can have remote reps on this, but the point is it has that option, which the Vinny just doesn't get.
That's definitely true. And we already have the next team setting up on the arena right now. One team's already warped in. Teams of Goondra Unloading Blue and Jovco Mining Division Red, both of them have submitted their bans. The previous team being the only team tonight hasn't. So if you can just go over those bans again, why not?
No worries. Goondra's banned out Leshak, Cerberus, Gila, and Curse. So that's actually 2 good missile and DPS boats, as well as Leshak being one of the most versatile battleships. And then Jovco banned out Bargus, Rattlesnake, Gila as well. So then they also banned out the Nightmare. So that's a lot of key battleships just removed. That's a lot of big ships.
What we see as well, this is something that's been featured in the bans, is both teams have banned the Gila. So how bans work is teams submit blind bans beforehand. So they'll submit their 3 ban choices without having any knowledge of what the other team submitted. The referee will take those bans. They'll inform them if there's any overlaps. In this case, there is a Gila. And for each overlap, so there can be up to 3, both teams are allowed an extra ban. This extra banning phase only happens once. So in this case, with the Gila being the extra ban, each team got an extra ban, being the Curse and the Nightmare. And now we have both teams arriving on grid.
Yeah, and this is very interesting comps. Hopefully we've changed over to the screen soon. But I'm curious, double Demos?
That is a bit of interesting with assault cruisers there. Yeah. And then the Astera is also on grid, which is a covered up ship. Does it count as covered ops or a faction? No, it's a faction frigate.
Yeah, that's a very interesting grid. There's a Shimu. Like, looks, they've got the first Logi today. We've got a Executor here, so that's good. Some sustain for that team.
That's a Exec versus 2 Deacons. So another thing you might see featured a bit less. Well, it's a bit of a shuffle. Oh, we have the countdown happening, so let's first see where they're going to go for priority targets.
Yeah, sorry, I actually missed the Deacons entirely because, you know, they're frigates, therefore they don't exist. But this is a very interesting set of comps for sure.
So we see the red team here going back with ECM drones coming up. Deimos charging in. Now that Deimos charging forward might be a bit of a risk. So if they catch him now, the problem is if those Deacons, which normally are AB fit, they're going to struggle to keep up with the Deimos if he keeps charging forward. And realizing this, it looks like he's slowed down because otherwise he would have burned away from his reps, which wouldn't be able to keep up with them.
Yeah, meanwhile, they were focusing down the Confessor, and the Confessor has gotten away. He pulled away into far range so he couldn't get shot at. And now he's coming back in again. I'm not sure what they're switching over to. I see a Demos being shot at. I'm trying to see what their main target currently is. Must be this Vedmak, right?
The Demos it looks like there's some split damage between Demos on the one side right now. Yeah, the Vedmak has got a shield stripped.
Yep, and there's
seen
also
a lot of
ECM
ECM drones.
ECM drones.
Okay, no, those ECM drones actually may need to disappear. It seems like it's mainly T2 damage drones going out. Yeah, and some smart bombs from the Vedmak. So a Tricklevian ship has a bonus to the capacitor usage of smart bombs, which will help it a lot here to just, you know, keep spooling its main gun if there's any new presence here, which the EOS is likely to have on it right now.
Yeah, look at that Vedmak. He's slowly going down. I don't think the Deacons can hold him up against 2 Absolutions plus Shimu. And also, the Shimu is probably neuting out at least one of those Deacons. Let me have a look, see if he's actually doing that.
Nope,
he's neuting out. No, hold on. No, he's just neuting out the target. He's actually neuting out one of the Demoses right now. He is not neuting out either of the Logi ships.
So the Vedmak is definitely suffering right now. It's probably going to go down. What we can see is that the EOS and the Prophecy being drone boats with spare highs, they're neuting that Vedmak. So that Vedmak is likely running a reactive armor hardener, which as it runs longer, it starts shifting to the damage it's taken. But the moment it turns off, it resets and has to start adjusting itself again. Saying this, the Deimos on the one side is...
Yeah. That Demos has been... he got into hull. He's managed to catch reps. I think the Ashimu neuts put him into a really weak spot for a moment there. He's still having trouble. Look, another hull chunk gone. The Vedmak's still low as well. That's really close. The Executor is being targeted on the other side as well as an Ishka. Both seem to be holding reasonably well compared to this Vedmak and Demos, which are struggling.
Oh, if that no, the Vedmak goes down. I was about to say it was a bit close there. Because what we can see happen is that the Vedmak stopped the smart bombs and a rep cloud came in, and that was what was keeping up that Vedmak for a while. But it was just not enough. I think the new shutting down his hardeners, but that Demos is still struggling right now.
I don't know how I missed this, by the way. They also have a Prophecy on that team, which is not the ship I was expecting to see.
Prophecy is a fantastic cheap battlecruiser option because it has the links and it does need its highs, so you can use its rigs to put up to 3 links on it and make it a link boat, while still having the drones to support it, as the Deimos does eventually die, so them trading a Vedmak for a Deimos.
Yeah, like while I do agree, they also have an EOS in that team with the same Prophecy. So that's a lot of links.
So they have a lot of links, a lot of extra newts as well. So if those newts get onto the Absolutions, them using laser turrets, they're also going to have a hard time running their guns. Looking quite good right now, although, as I said, that the Deacon is suffering.
Yeah, at the moment, this is quite an even fight. If that Deacon goes down, I think it will shift towards the Absolutions. But at the moment, if that Logi holds, they've got a pretty even fight here, and they've actually removed the Logi from the opposing team. So this is close. This is actually closer than it probably looks.
Interesting that they're going for the Ishkar here. I think the Ishkar is holding down that Deacon that's getting primed right now. It looks like a couple of Nosses or Newts is also coming in. So he's probably really harassing that Deacon. So Deacons normally do have an injector in the mids. We don't run regens in tournaments normally. So it's still able to do some reps as the Ishkar goes down there. Deacon, they might trade for it though. But any sort of Newts joining on Frigology is a big hassle, even with an injector.
That Deacon's real low. He's just holding. He's gone. Look at this Ashima now. These Shima's almost going to follow him real quick. This is starting to collapse. 2 Absolutions versus a Demos and an EOS. I honestly think Demos, if well fit, could probably just tank both the Absolutions.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good for the red team, I'd say. Like, even losing their one Logi, so a Frig Logi by itself is going to have a very, very hard time keeping up. The only thing that will be able to is rep bots, which I don't think they're featuring a lot. Them being drone boats, they'll be featuring a lot more damage drones, so there won't be. If I was them, like, I wouldn't even bother putting out rep drones. I just go for trades.
That's all he's going to do. Just outrun the drone, just buy as much time as possible for this Demos and the EOS to rip apart whatever targets they desire. The longer he lasts, the better for his team.
That's true. And speaking of running, we have the Stera running away right now. It had some drones. They were called the drones finally. So the Stera is also just dropping drones and living to win right now for points, trying to salvage what they can.
Look at the Confessor chasing him down. Like the Confessor absolutely bolted across the arena, and this Confessor is just slowly chasing him down as well. Meanwhile, the Brawl in the center of this Absolution going into half armor now. They've got no Logi to back them up, so suspect he's a full buffer fit. So he's just trying to survive as long as he can. But I think the Demos is just going to win, to be honest. And the Newts from an EOS as well.
Yeah, they're definitely going to have a hard time with all these Newts on them now. Like, Hardeners are getting shut down, props are getting shut down, guns are getting shut down.
There's people warping a bit too early. Ignore that, guys. Nothing to see there. Just people making mistakes. They came in a bit too early. So, but yeah, Absolution going down now into Hull. Pop. There he goes.
Well, that's a pretty clear win then for the red team, I'd say. Just dominating over there with the drones and the utility highs, I'd say, definitely having a big influence here with that, likely shutting down the Vidmac Hardeners in the beginning and not allowing them to win that trade. Because I'd have to say, if they didn't win that trade effectively and they lost that Demos before the Vidmac, this might have been a completely different match.
Yeah, the one thing I don't agree with, but now that I'm looking at it, I think it might still be all right, is the Prophecy. By looks of it, they've got a Newt fitted at least and a Seabo on the Demos. Yeah, he's got a Seabo and a Newt. So this is essentially like a full utility Prophecy with a max tank. And of course his drone. So interesting choice, to be honest.
It's quite a common choice that I've seen before. The other option that you might go for is a Myrmidon. The difference between them being that the Myrmidon has a local rep bonus and the Prophecy has a resistance bonus. Interesting that the EOS used to have that exact same bonus from the Myrmidon, being the T2 version of the Myrmidon, but with the rather recent command ship balance, the Myrmidon the EOS actually received a resistance bonus, same as its Amara cousins.
Yeah, like they've gone for like a max resist comp. The Demos is still like I like the choice. Demos is definitely an out of the box choice with this full like resistant rep comp. But honestly, they're kind of good. I actually quite like the idea. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, the Demos to me was the interesting choice. I kind of like Sacrilegious personally, just because
or Zealots. Yeah, I would take a Zealot personally.
Well, the damage choice on option choice on the Sacrilegious, excuse me, is one of the huge advantages for me. I'm able to choose whatever damage type you need to get the job done.
Yeah, I think the damage is a bit mediocre compared to Demos's and even Zealots, but I do agree there. I suspect
the other thing that Sacrilegious have going for them is also they're one of the few hacks which feature a utility high, which is quite useful if they're in the brawling range. So they might be having smart bombs so they can clear rep bot clouds or even just EC cloud and stuff. So that's another advantage that Sacrilege has.
I don't know. I'm never convinced. They're great tackle boats in tournaments, but I've never really seen them as a DPS boat. Like, maybe I've seen one and forgotten it, but who knows? But that was a close match for the first half. They almost pulled it back, but just once they started to, I think when lost the Logi, they started to die there. I think started to fall apart.
That's true. Yeah, it was a really good match, dude, for sure. Right. So next up, we can probably discuss the bans for the team that's going to be coming in next. It's Wherefore and Fwaming Dwagon. Wonderful name to pronounce.
Fwaming Dwagon. I hate that name.
All right. So once again, we have the bans from them this time. From Wherefore, we got Curse, Armageddon, Belgorn. Fwaming Dwagon doing Vindicator, Bargas, Belgorn. So we're having the Belgorn being a bonus ban, with Wherefore choosing their bonus ban from that to be an Oneros, and Fwaming Dwagon to be choosing a Scimitar.
A weird mirror there. Like one team bans out the T2 armor logi, the other one then bans out the T2 shield logi at the same time. That's like they're on the same page.
Yeah, because we do have to mention as well that bonus ban is once again another blind ban. So neither team would have known what the other team was doing at that stage. So it seemed to have worked out. What we're seeing is a majority of the Newt ships, the big head Newt ships being banned, the Belgorn and the Curse. Now, a Curse also being chosen as a bonus ban in the previous match is, in my opinion, quite a devastating ship in this small setup. It has the medium newts, which have a bonus range too. So it can only reach about 30 kilometers of medium newts. Most teams will do a hybrid of medium newts and small newts, the small newts going to 20 kilometers. But another advantage it has is the tracking and guidance disruptor bonus. Once again, it can't feature scripts, but that's still quite devastating in this smaller format where you can apply E-War over the majority of your opponent.
Yeah, interesting that we thought, like you said, essentially hard banned out all Newt options. You got rid of the Curse, Geddon, and Balgorn. Obviously, you can do Dominic's, Lashak, stuff like that, but they're not quite as good as that at that role as either of those three ships. That's a pretty hard set of bans for anti-Newt. That's interesting.
So let's see. So they're the blue team that's setting up here on grid now. Both teams arriving on grid. Seems like we might have another no logi setup on our hands here as well, with Hyperions again.
One team without Logi bringing in a hype. The other team did bring in a Logi. Once we get onto grid, once these guys are in position, just gotta wait for for our poor guy to get it all locked up. Yeah, it's interesting. And of course, the moment the Gila is not banned, someone brought one every time. I wonder if there's a correlation, CCP. I've been a bit of a dick, I know.
So we're seeing a dual Hyperion setup here once again with no Logi. The other team hasn't warped in here yet, so we'll see once the camera's set up. But basically, the blue team coming in here with 2 Hyperions, Hound, Enyo, Vexor Navy, Gila. Quite a kitchen sink setup. So it looks like they're basically they took they didn't decide on armor shield. They basically looks like they decided what can we do for the most damage with the most amount of points, and then pretty much coming in at 0.
Yeah, the interesting thing about it as well, they brought pretty much all the ships they brought were pretty much self-sustaining ships. Vexor Navy gets self-rep, Hyperions get self-rep, Enyo's pretty good at that role. Cycling has a self-rep as well. Once we see it, you guys can see that. And the Gila, of course, is just big tank. It's just a big tank.
They chose to bring the Hound in at 0 as well.
I agree.
It's still a frigate ship that has some maneuverability. Looking at the Hound, though, I don't see a bomb active on it. So you might have thought that, hey, maybe it wants to come in at 0 so it can do the cheeky bomb run in the beginning. But bomb launch not featured on it right now.
And warping that at 0 is a big ball play. If they warped in anywhere within 20k, that Hound would have been dead without its bomb doing anything. That's definitely an interesting choice. Timer is now started. We've got 30 seconds till kickoff.
And once again, we have them facing off against the semi-drone comp with Dominic is again at range. So we'll see how this goes. The Hyperions are going to be suffering here a bit because they don't have really anything to catch them. The Gila might be acting as tackle. The VNI could as well. A rather good ship for tackle, being a drone boat that can dedicate all its highs and mids for tackling. But if the red team does a good job of kiting, it's going to be really hard for those Hyperions to get on top of targets as we start the match.
I think their one tackle ship is going to be the VNI and the Enyos. Oh, so you see the Dominic's is immediately. I think and the Stradios also dropping bounces. Did Stradio drop bounces? Maybe.
Yeah,
look at that Hound.
Going out because Centrica.
And the Hound is gone in literal seconds. As we said, he should have warped in at range and bought some more time, but doesn't matter. Enyo's burning in. VNI is being picked on. Yeah, Enyo is actually getting pretty close. He will get tackled, but how long will he last? I suspect there's going to be a lot of newts over there. He's now being tackled down by the Punisher. The Punisher's one job in any tournament is one and one thing only. Can you guess what that one is, Zoo?
It is tackle, being one of the most cheaper tackle frigates with resistance bonus, able to dedicate its loads to buffer and mids to tank as the V9 dies. And that's the majority tackle gone. Whew, that's going to be a bit of uphill, though.
That's not good at all. All their tackle is now gone, or fully controlled down. The Enyo is now being picked on. Here comes the Cyclone charging. He's probably the best tackle option they have now. And he's not particularly fast, but he's now being scrammed. That Punisher actually switched the scram off the Enyo and put it immediately onto the Cyclone. That is actually a really quick and good call.
And there goes the Enyo. As they're focusing on the Augur, you see, they have to focus the Augur right now, because if they go on anything else, the Augur would just rep it, and them having no reps on their side, will be a lopsided battle if they don't get rid of that Logi. So what they want to do is get rid of the Logi and make this into a match where they can start trading off, which it might be in their favor with the Hyperions if they can start catching things.
Cyclone getting low now. Cyclone got caught as well. So that Punisher did God's work. They're tackling down pretty much everything. Cyclone is now being primary. I see the Hyperions are burning in. What target are they picking? Looks like one's grabbing a Harbinger down.
It looks like it. Looks like they caught the Augur. There's a Cyclone finally goes down, but they pummeling into that Harbinger. I don't know why they would do that if they're right next to the Augur right now.
Yeah. I suspect that the reason why they tackled the Harb while being next to the Augur, because they're actually real close to it. So they can pick on both targets at the same time. But honestly, I'm seeing split damage on the Harps and the Augur. Pick the Augur off now. You've got your option. Take it.
I'd definitely go for that Augur. I'm not actually sure it's the missiles from the Gila. So it looks like the Gila's being the main harassing as the Augur goes down.
Augur goes down, thank God. But they also got split damage now on both these Harps. They're going to pick on one. Take on Daniel, take him down. The Hyperion is now going to the low armor, but he should be able to tank about 1,500 HP a second.
Yeah, definitely. I think they're in a really good spot here right now too. If they can get rid of these Harbingers, well, at least one of them.
Curious, like,
And
they're in a good enough spot, but I suspect these Dominixes are going to be like super newt fit to some degree. Oh yeah, there's not a single gun fitted to that Dominix.
once again, they're splitting damage, it looks like. They're putting damage on the Harbinger that's boating away, not on the Harbinger which tackled right next to them. So I'm not too sure if it's a communication issue there right now. Like, that Harbinger that they're priming would have been dead way sooner as it goes down now if they just focus targets.
All right, well, they got one at least, and they can pick up the next one. I think the Hyperion will actually live. They're going to live to win this, I think. If he can just get another rep cycle, he's good, yeah.
And there they go for the Punisher. I just wanted to mention, like, the Punisher can't delay them right now if they can get it out, but it depends. Like, if they see the Punisher as a nuisance, they could probably wipe it off the map, but it looks like they're in range to tackle that one Harbinger and start finishing DPS so they can get it off grid.
Exactly. If they can get rid of that Harb, then they've got a chance to win this, but all the other team needs to do now is run. Go away, get as far as you can, get your Stratos and Dominixes out of range, and let the drones just pepper these things to death. At least get rid of one of the Hyperions. I think you might be ahead on points at that point. The hype goes down. Look at that. They got one of them.
They had a point, so definitely kind of match. So let's say if the Harbinger still goes down, the red team will still be ahead of points. So it's pretty much at this point you'd have to kill the Harbinger and a Stratios, and then you'd actually be tied, I believe.
Is that an AB Harb? I almost think that's an AB Harb. I think it might be a micro warp drive. Yeah, it's a micro warp drive.
I believe it's grappled right now, so the grapple's probably affecting it into fall off of reducing that speed. As it gets further away, that grapple's going to be starting to be less and less effective.
And there's Gila now being primary down into armor. He's not long for this world. Surprisingly, he lasted longer than I expected. They picked on a Hyperion before they tried to take down the Gila. I suspect they just wanted to kill the best DPS ship they could. And this Harb might still go down. He needs to pull some distance and just run. Maximum speed.
So what that Hyperion might be using Balasis, they can still load the long-range ammo, which is still quite effective because it's like a 20-kilometer range full of combination. So yeah, and there it goes down. It's still unfortunate. I believe like if they were focusing targets a lot better, they could have cleaned up the org, reducing the reps on the Harbinger they were priming, then just going to the Harb, going to the second Harb, and they might have been in a lot better position. But at this stage, that Hyperion looks like it will be the last man standing, eventually going down.
Yep, and watch this as well. At the moment that Harb went down, both Stratioses pulled away immediately. They started both peeling away from this Hyperion. One wasn't quite as fast. He might get caught, but I think he's going to get away with it. If I was at Dominix right now, I'm going in. I'm not going away. I'm going in there. I'd rather them tackle me than them.
I mean, Hyperion's going about 950, 980 right now, and so the slowest thing on the enemy team is going to be the Dominix, and even if he catches it, that's a chunky boy you still got to go through.
That chunky nudie boy too. Like that thing is just packed to the gills with newts. That's the exact thing you bring to counter Hyperion. It's just newts.
So it's pretty much just going to be the Hyperion chasing down targets to no avail while it's slowly going to get shredded apart. So he's probably running his Angsel rep right now, relying on Nanite Paste to give it a better rep amount. Eventually that'll run out and he'll either have the choice to reload it, which most people will not do, or keep it running without paste, which makes it reduced effectiveness, but it's still something. So that's probably what we're seeing right now, is that he's likely to run out of paste and his reps have gotten a lot less effective.
I see grapple on one of the Stratioses actually. He has seemed to have got the grapple on him. He's still not quite as fast. I see the Stratios still running faster than him. In fact, both of them now heating their props. Hyperion's now going 1200, Stratios now going 1700 and booking it out of there. I was wondering where those ogres were going. I found it finally. He actually caught the Stratios with it.
He's probably going to, like, a smart thing actually to do is that the Dominix might even offer himself up as a bit of a bait. Well, to be honest, they should delay it. Like, Stratios should only get caught here if they really mess up. And looking where they're on the arena right now, there is a lot of space to work with, so they should not be caught.
Yeah, I think the Hyperion, like the Dominix also have smart bombs fitted as well. I just noticed they got at least one smart bomb because they did try and bomb off some of the Hyperion's drones. The Hyperion is still just chasing that strategy down, but the Hyperion's been webbed down, I suspect, by the Dominix.
And it's just repped up again. So we might be looking at a dual rep setup on the Hyperion here, where it has a normal rep and an Angsel rep. Yeah, it's definitely one. So you could have the option where he, just because of so little damage, he actually could have gone for a reload. A reload taking about 60 seconds when you use either an Angsel armor or Angsel shield rep. So he likely could have just gone for that.
I think he actually did catch one of those Stratioses. Yeah, the Stratios is barely moving. Sergei Skazor is now being held down, and the Hyperion's now getting closer and closer. Once he gets up in range, he's going to start obliterating him, hopefully.
Well, we have 3 minutes left on the match, so even if he does kill it, it's there. The red team's still quite ahead on points here. He'd literally have to kill the Dominix.
Watch this Dominix going for the bump. I think he's going for the bump to try and get him off of the Stratios. And he does too. Bravo from this Dominix. Well played.
And also Newt's from the Domi now is trying to shut down the Hyperion a bit.
He's been nuding him for a while now. The Hyperion's cap has been screaming. But that was a perfect bump from the Dominix just to get by a little bit of distance for the Stratios, who is now, yep, Michael drives on. Off he goes. See you later, boys.
I think he's learned his lesson. Don't play games with the Hyperion.
Exactly. And now, as I said before, the Dominic's just going to hold the Hyperion down. And honestly, he did a lot better, smarter than I would have said. He waited till the right moment when the Hyperion's been worn down and then went for the scram. And you can see that he's holding the Hyperion down there. He's not going anywhere. And the Hype's now running out of cap. He's now going into hull.
At this point, there's not much he can do. It's just like, you could say one option he has with those drones being close right now, he could start grappling and shooting drones. But even if he does manage to clear all DPS, the red team's still way ahead of points. And with almost 2 minutes left now, and he goes down. Yeah.
Good fight on local, and bravo to him. Like that team played that amazingly near the end there. That Dominix just came in at the right moment, bumping him off as well. The Hyperion tried to do the man mode, but just couldn't quite pull it off.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird setup to me, the kitchen sink all-in style, especially with nothing like a Hyperion or a Hina or even a Suicide Interceptor to get an initial fast tackle. So they might have just settled that doing a bit of a chase game at the beginning, especially the Punisher on the red team being a bit of a hero tackle, delaying things along. And then also, I think the not focusing those targets when they had all of them right next to them did hurt them quite a bit. I think
killed them more than anything else. Yeah, they were shooting the Augurer and both Harbingers at the same time. That moment there was when you just kill yourself. It's just you finished your match off for yourself, because that honestly lost them maybe what do you say, 30 seconds to a minute worth of damage, just killing the wrong target.
Because it looked to me like the Ogre was previously taking damage from Agila. From what I could see, I was a bit unclear what was shooting it. But so while that one ship was slowly killing the Ogre by itself, they were hammering to Harbinger. And you have to think, while they're shooting to Harbinger, this Ogre is still alive and fully wrapping it up. So, and they're splitting damage. So you could almost argue that they were trying to kill, they had to go through like 4 Harbingers, effectively HP's worth.
Yeah, that's just honestly that tug call there was the worst. They should have just gone all in on the Org. They had it finally tackled and held down next to them. Like they could have held the Harbingers and still shot the Org and gotten away with it, or at least have their drones on the Augurer while tackling and killing one Harbinger. But they tried to tackle and kill both at the same time while killing this Augurer. That was just the completely wrong play there, I suspect. I mean, I could be very wrong, but they did lose the match, so I feel like I'm justified.
I mean, split targets can be a valid strategy, but normally where you see that featured is you'd be shooting like, maybe one hype would shoot one harb and other hype would shoot another harb, and then you do some sort of switch. It's not the best strategy in this kind of setup. Like normally you want to go all in and just blitz something, especially if you have the advantage like being right there in blaster range.
Yeah, and that strategy also works when you've also got the Logi to sustain yourself, so you can make that swap and try and like out trick their Logi. They didn't have the sustain to do it, nor did they have the Logi of their own. It wasn't the wrong time they tried anything like that. They should just kill the Augurer. There's nothing else to say to that one.
Nothing much. That Hound just getting blasted at the beginning. Like if argument's sake that Hound came in at range and did a bit more of a cardio option, trying to dodge those sentries, getting the transversal up as soon as possible. And they focus targets. There's a lot of like ands and ifs coming in here, but we want also to speak about the full potential a team can deliver on the field as well. I mean, that bomber in combination with hypes actually should have shredded a bunch of Harbingers apart if they focus, but unfortunately, Hound coming in at 0, not getting its transversal up fast enough, and just getting blapped by sentries.
Yeah, it should have warped, 20 to 50, just out of the way. At least give some distance and try and survive. But honestly, I don't think it would have mattered. They did drop like a metric butt ton of bounces, so I suspect he still would have died.
Well, I mean, that's actually something else we can speak of is sometimes, like, even if you don't have a bomb launcher on your ship, what a lot of teams do is you still fit your bomb launcher, even though you can't online it. And you come in and you see, like, hey, we're expecting a bunch of reptiles. Oh, hey, we're expecting a bunch of, there's a bunch of Dommies and Ishtar's on field. Know what? Offline one of my torp launchers, offline this bomb launcher. It's going to be a lot more important than that one extra turret. And then do what you need to do. Eventually that bomb comes in and boom, there's a bunch of DPS off the field.
Yeah, and also as well, like the extra little bit of mind games there. If you've got the bomb launcher fitted, even if it's offline, they can see it. I suspect they can see it at least.
Yes, you can definitely see it. So even if generally it's offline, you should be able to see it.
So that little mind game alone, if you warp in with a bomber with a bomb launcher, they're going to go, oh, he's going to try and bomb us. So they're going to, try and avoid the bomb, not drop out their logi drones, etc., etc., etc. So yeah, it should fit at the bomb launcher if nothing else. Just nothing else as like something they can point and be like, look at this, I have this. Fear me. Oh well, I suppose we can move on to the next match's bans, which is kind of amusing because it's the team who hasn't banned a thing.
Once again, featuring here, D-Line Force. So what does the other team ban from Jovco Mining Division?
Banned out my favorite ship, the Vindicator, again. They've banned out the Nightmare as well, and the Bargus. Interesting combo. Obviously the Bargus is like a kind of range control battleship. The Nightmare is a ship that just can't be stopped. And the Vindicator is a ship that can be stopped, but you have to risk it for the biscuit when you do it. Interesting set of bans.
So it's the three pretty much highest damage pirate battleships. Interesting ban for me is the Barghast. We saw the Barghast featured a lot in the Alliance Opens at the end of last year, which the main reason for that being you could feature a lot more people within the 10 slots, and I believe you could feature 3 battleships at that stage. So the advantage the Barghast had going for it was the rapid heavies, and being able to feature all these battleships, you could reach a really astonishing amount of front-loaded damage of all these rapid missiles. But now, due to more restrictions and the smaller format in the Angry games, with less ships on field and things being more expensive for slots, you can't really, if you feature rapids on the field, it's a lot harder to kill something. More often than not, in the smaller format, you'll empty your clip, it'll still be standing, and then you just have to sit there and get pounded in the face.
The Bargus is the ability, like I said, it's a control battleship more. You think the damage is nice, but it's just the idea that you can defend yourself and keep people off of your scramming you. So it's a very self-defensive ship. And whether you have one or two of them, whether you have the one with gearless or something like that, the fact that it can defend itself and then put out about 1,200 DPS?
Oh yeah,
rapid heavies. And then you mix that with a good set of other ships. You bring either some attack battle cruisers, you bring some gearless, you bring some support. For instance, if you bring a single webbing ship, then obviously the rapid heavies will apply to cruisers as well. So it does bring a lot to the small format. But I do agree, it may not be quite as much as the Alliance Opens.
So when you're saying the Barghast can defend itself, are you referring to its scram and disruptor bonus?
Yep, long scram bonus. Add that with some command links, and you've got a 20-kilometer scram, I think.
Yeah, so it's a nice defensive scram option to just try and preemptively scram any tackle heading your way. Exactly. That's one feature that the Mordor or Mardu, I forget how you pronounce.
The what?
What is that faction called again?
Mortis Angels?
That's I'll take your word for that. Sometimes I'm not that great with pronunciation, Eve. But the other ships being the Orpheus and the Garmer, those I haven't seen featured that much, especially the Garmer. That's the frigate we never really see featured, actually.
There's no need to bring it. Anything the Garmer can do in this setup, a Punisher can do, but tank better. There's no point in bringing one.
And interceptors can also generally do it at a lot cheaper as well.
Yeah, it's not really worth it. I was looking up something and I've entirely forgot what it was. It's driving me insane.
Well, let's see. Interceptors are costed 3 points in our tournament, and the Garmer will be costed at 5 points. So if you wanted to just tackle something, an interceptor or even the Punisher at 2 points would definitely be a lot better.
Yeah, there's no reason to bring a Garmer. Even if it was cheaper, I would still just go, yeah, I'm just going to bring a Punisher for 1 point and just do whatever I need for that exact same role. There's no point in bringing one. But the one thing as well that the Bargus gets that I love is also it gets utility highs to add on top of that pile of just amazing ship. 2 utility highs on that ship is ridiculous.
And what would you believe that the Orpheus is a valid option to have in this format right now?
Nope, Cerberus beats it in pretty much every way. You don't need the tackle at all when you're firing rapid lights or even ham. So the Orpheus is just beaten out by Cerberus, and if you want the cheap option, you bring Twin Caracal and you don't care.
Yeah, and also pirate faction ships are rated at 12 points. Another, if you really wanted to do the rapid heavy option, a good option at 2 points cheaper, being a Navy option, is the Osprey Navy issue, because it has 3 launchers, but it has a huge damage bonus. And having less launchers and more highs means it has, I think, 2 utility highs as well. So an Osprey Navy issue is also a valid option, but normally we see people go for the Caracal option just because it's so cheap and such high damage.
Yeah, you'll either see Caracal or Cerberus. Osprey Navy has potential, as you said. You can also make him really tanky ships for a Navy ship, but you'll tend to see Caracal and or Cerberus. There's
So-
not much else around.
Quick info for you guys here. The red team is currently missing one pilot that is burning over right
And
now.
we have them warping in on grid right now.
They're missing one. All right. Are they going to fight without the one, or are they just going
No,
to show up?
we are going to wait for the one that's missing. They're just going to warp in so
So it
that
seems we
both
have a bit
teams
of
have the
delay on
same
the
amount
red
of
side
info.
right now with a pilot, but we are seeing them form on grid here right now. Seems what's this? No line? D-line force. There we go. It just helps to have your sheets open on the side, featuring a very similar, exact same comp as before again.
They're just waiting for someone to beat it, I guess. Or they want to actually have good practice in this comp.
Well, it's a bit interesting to me that they did no bans. I mean, in my opinion, you want to bans, you want to have, even though it's open practices and some people might take it as a bit of a meme fest, you still want to try and get as much out of the practice as possible. So apply the theory crafting to it. But who knows? Maybe they have the opinion that if they don't do any bans, they will see more of comps, different comps fielded by their enemies and gather more intel. It's not really a valid choice in my opinion, but this might be what they're thinking. Or they were lazy and just forgot to submit.
Yeah, there might be this we can't be bothered doing it, we'll do it another time.
No, they definitely did submit no bans specifically.
Oh, they definitely did it. They definitely submitted no bans. Wow. I don't know. Maybe I feel like they just didn't care to do it, or they wanted to see what comps people actually bring before they decide to ban them out. They keep banning out a certain ship. Like, okay, I don't have to worry about this ship. They're not going to use it. And then you finally unban it, and then the very next match you bring up like 2 of that ship. Like, oh crap. So I guess it's maybe seeing what people are bringing. It's kind of like what are you going to bring against me now? I don't know. I personally would just ban every single time. Always ban Gila because screw the Gila. Gila's got to go.
Oh, let's see. So Vindicator, Nightmare, Barghest, the heavy battleships options. So we just missing one pilot from them. So the blue team D-line force warping in so long. So them featuring the same setup as they had before. It looks like they're trying to do a different range option this time though.
I'm curious. Let's have a look.
Do those Nagas, did they switch out the weapons? Oh, those Nagas?
I'm looking. They're the same weapons. I thought they were being cheeky and changing weapons, but they haven't. They're the exact same weapons as last time.
That's also what I was expecting. Like maybe they thought like, hey, let's go for the blaster right now. But do we still have ACs on the dummies too?
Oh, they're warping off. They warped to the wrong range. Look at that.
So in a real tournament setup, that warping would have been accepted as final, and they would be out of luck and in for a really rough time.
So the pilots are supposed to warp themselves at range. And the FC accidentally fleet warped at 0 instead of warping himself.
It's a hard habit to get out of. Fleet warping everyone, all of a sudden you have to warp yourself.
I'm not sure if it's something we've discussed before, but one thing I know is that for the recent introduction of the fleet formations, we have actually banned their use in the tournament. I'm not sure if Wayne, if you could. Oh yeah.
With the fleet formations, you are able to get pilots in a position where they shouldn't possibly end up, right? So it would be very hard to make rules up for that. So we decided just to straight up ban fleet formations.
I haven't played with them too much, so I'm not too sure if it would be possible to almost like overshoot the center beacon and actually end up being right on top of your opponents.
Well, yes, exactly. That's what you can do.
Fantastic.
That's cheeky.
And here they've warped into what we assume would be the correct ranges now.
Everyone at 50. I was hoping you see rail nuggets at 0. Come on. That would have been the greatest thing to see.
Still waiting on the one pilot from the red side, it seems. But for now, we see 2 Drake Navy issues, 2 Jackdaws, 2 Lokis. They might be looking to fill in a cruiserology for that last slot. So that's something that's actually you will see in the major difference here between the Angry Games in its 7v7 format versus the Alliance Opens in its, or the general AT format of the classic 10v10. So with the reduced amounts of slots, sometimes it's difficult to make the decision between a cruiser logi and a frigate logi, mainly due to the amount of slots they take. Obviously, 2 frigates taking 2 slots and a cruiser taking 1 slot. So while 2 frigate logis might be cheaper than a T2 logi, they take up 2 slots, which might not really work out for the comp you want to take.
You also saw, like, I think it was like Logi got nerfed, Resistance got nerfed, Damage got buffed. There's been a lot of things since. Like, we used to see like twin Logi frigs were like almost untouchable and can hold up most of their comp. Now they're a little weaker than they used to be, but they still have potential for sure.
And we see actually a Punisher getting on grid. Obviously, should have assumed that with the ships they fielded on grid, they would not have any points for Logi, but the Punisher, Hero Punisher, finally come to the rescue so that the team can finally warp into the arena.
It's a very interesting comp. Double Loki, double Jackdaw, double Drake Navy, and then a Punisher just because they need tackle, I guess. And they're warping to 0.
Well, let's see how good we are at guessing subsystems on these Lokis. I'm going to guess they're ham with immobility drivers, which is the web bonus.
I honestly wouldn't have any clue. I just hate Lokis with a burning passion.
Yeah, they definitely are. So the subsystem, you can normally tell if you look at them from the front. That is the immobility drivers, which gives the Loki the option to have longer range webs. Not as long, it's pretty much Balgon webs, like not as big as the Hugin or the Hina, but still quite effective. And then it's got the hams on it. So they'll be acting as the tackle for this fleet to kind of rush in. Looks like they're going for kind of like Brawl Rush comp with hams featuring there, coming in at 0.
I expect to see that the Jackdaws, one of the Lokis, get obliterated at the start of this fight. They might even go for the Punisher, but going for a Punisher first is not the call I would make. So I expect to see Jackdaw going down or a Loki as the timer has ended starting. What goes first? Bounces have been dropped immediately. What's the target we're going to go after?
Well, if they can clear out the Jackdaws, that would be fantastic for them. Just, easy volleys, but it depends if those Jackdaws, and we already see them running away.
Yep. Going for a Loki. I thought that was one of their calls. They're also going for the Skybreaker on the other side. The Dominixes haven't even moved. They're just like, no, we're just going to stay here. Thanks, guys.
I believe that happened relatively in the other match as well, which allowed the Hyperions to catch them.
And Loki is burning in. Are they going to burn past the Dominixes? Yep. Drake Navy burning past. Loki burning past. Other Loki going into hull and dying as he's trying to burn past.
And we see a split cloud of EC drones going onto the Nagas at the background. Them probably considering them better options for the ECs, get that heavy drones damage out of the field. And they're going for the next Loki while they're also trying to clear out that Punisher tackle.
They're going for the Skybreaker as well. They're still going for that Skybreaker. It's still alive in the hull. He might actually just survive, to be honest. I think it's the Jackdaws in Sharpshooter perhaps pounding him, and there he goes.
And they're finally doing some damage on the Naga at the back there, but they've been chasing him with, wasting all this time while they've been bleeding.
Yep. However, they did get on target now. I think the Drake Navy is also in range. Naga goes down. They have to pick up the second Naga. The Loki's now into armor, but that's some of the damage gone. They'll probably lose a second Loki before they get the extra Naga. Yep, there he goes.
Well, yeah, they're following up into the second Naga there, and it looks like they did have the webs onto the Gila of Eldon there. Looks like they wanted to do that for the follow-up, but obviously they've lost their webs now. The DNI is scrying him, so it looks like they're going to look to go to the Gila likely as a follow-up target.
Yep, they're going after the small ships first, which is a good call. Going for those Dominixes is just not worth it. The Drake Navies can run circles around them. However, the Drake Navies are losing shield now as well. At least one of them is.
Interesting, they're trying to put ECs on the Gila, which is their primary right now, which is probably a bit of a misplay. A, it's your primary, you're going to kill it soon. B, it's a Gila, and it already has its drones out, which are doing damage. You'd actually be a lot better off putting your EC drones on the Gila's drones.
Say Pokemon Dominixes, I expect one's at least nuding you, so kill one of the dummies with that.
So now it looks like they're training quite effectively. Blue team is probably ahead here with the 2 battleships and the Gilas.
Massively. Massively. They're way ahead of the second break directing being pounded.
The Hero Punisher is still alive, man.
It don't matter, mate. That second Drake Navy is getting pounded, and that's the only real DPS. The Jackdaws are alright. They might be able to maybe pick off the Gila if they're lucky, but Gila drones will just harvest Jackdaws, man.
So as they're kind of mopping up here with the Drake going down soon, it's quite interesting. If you look at the Punisher, it actually has blasters fit. But interesting choice. Most people, because the Punisher doesn't have a damage bonus of any sort, they actually choose to use autocannons because they don't use capacitor, which means you can keep shooting it while you're dedicating all your cap to tackle. But it's interesting that they decide to choose blasters here, which take capacitor, but they wanted the higher damage most likely. Very minor thing to notice.
I was just more surprised they brought any damage at all. I've seen Punishers just brick tank. Look at that Jackdaw just get deleted. I think it was a bounce of a volley. Just pop, gone.
That's one thing that can happen. Obviously, it's the end of the match and they're mopping up here. But, if the Dommies decide to go for something big at the match, like the Lokis, which they were doing, the Jackdaws can kind of start losing focus and think, hey, then we just start doing man damage and get a bit complacent in the match. And then suddenly the Dommy notices, hey, that Jackdaw isn't paying attention, volley.
Slap. Yeah, exactly. At the end, the Dominics just turned their might upon Jackdaws and just obliterated them. The original range boys.
And once again, the no bans, no logi teams takes the win.
Slapping their dick on the table at this point, mate.
But I believe they did make some good calls in going for those Nagas. It was a clean follow-through, I'd say. They knew what they were going through. They had their webs on the primary. They already had the webs on secondary. So the moment they finished the primary, they were ready to follow up on the next target and the next and the next. So that's something good teams normally do. They don't focus on what they're going to do only now. They focus what they're going to do now and what they're going to do next. So there's a fluid plan for your people to constantly follow through with.
Yeah, I think the one thing I like about that is probably just a minor thing. The Dominixes deliberately didn't move. It's like, oh yeah, come tackle us. We're here. Please shoot us. And of course, the enemy team saw that and did not even touch them. But I feel like next game, you're going to see like a polarized Dominix just doing that. Just going to sit there like, oh yeah, tackle me, tackle me, tackle me. Then just tackles them back and just obliterates them. I love those mind games.
Hopefully that happens, like the any team can do it. Because one of the things you should be doing when you're an on grid is inspecting weapon systems. Never take it for granted what weapon systems your opponent has. I've had it before where I've assumed Nighthawks were ham, and lo and behold, they were long-range heavy missiles, and it bit me in the ass. So polarized weapons, you can normally notice they have a bit of a yellow tinge to them. It's not something you should assume always. Unfortunately, skins in the game have an effect on how guns sometimes look. But
I remember for the 5v5s, we deliberately went through them and found out which skins do not show for polarized, and then we brought a polarized Vindicator.
I've made a mistake before in a match where we've gone against a no logi setup, which was Vindicators, and there were Org Navies. Org Navies having the bonus to armor hit points, so they generally feature really well in a no logi setup, also doing a ridiculous load of damage.
And then polarized it. I remember that one.
So because they have an advantage to hit points, not resistance, they're actually generally good for polarized setup because they can just rely on raw hit points to try and carry them through. So they're normally a prime setup for something like polarized. And we took a look at this, looked at the guns, saw that little things like, oh, that's a polarized setup. And it was only the one. And we thought, oh, they're trying to pull a sneaky on us by sneaking in the one polarized. But lo and behold, it was a skin messing with us.
I always love it. Always like the mind games, right? The skin games, the mind games, the bannings, like ship warping locations. Like that mind game from start to finish is what I just love seeing because it will get me every time. I'll get caught out by those mind games, but I just love seeing it. It's so much fun.
Oh, it's fantastic though. I mean, you could argue like, oh, it's a pay to win feature, but I mean, to be fair, also when we're on Thunderdome, everyone has access to skins, everyone does everything, and you should kind of have this knowledge. This knowledge is what separates you from a top tier team, knowing what should be polarized, what shouldn't, and understanding just what's going to be filled there. And we have the next teams warping in.
Interesting choices of ships. Very interesting. I see a ship that should definitely be there, but I'm seeing ships that I'm very confused about.
Well, we have the teams in blue here of We're 4 and in red, Forklift Certified Goths. If you just want to go over the bands that these teams chose for this match.
It's We're 4, Bandit, Rattlesnake, Vindicator, Balgorn. So 3 very powerful and very versatile battleships. Then Forklift banned out Hyena, Curse, Scimitar. So they banned out a control frigate, a Newton control cruiser, and then banned out, I think, probably the one T2 logi ship that can just run away.
Yeah, the Scimitar being like one of the more kitey orientated logi ships, also being a lot more self-sustained cap-wise, able to do a lot more like long-term reps as long as it doesn't get caught.
Yeah, we've seen some god piloting from Scimitars. It's been like a staple of the old ATs, just watching, I think it was like Starfleet Commander, just amazing Scimitar piloting. I think it was him at least. I have terrible memory, so I'm sorry if I'm wrong.
Oh, no, it's all good. So we see, I think blue team's featuring a no logi setup here again. Seems to be quite common in today's matches. While the red team's featuring 2 Karens, Kaldari Frig logi.
Yeah, this is a very interesting comp. I'm going to call it now. I very, very much expect that. Let me just double check their name before I say anything silly. Weir 4 might come away with this because that's two Sleipnirs. Two Sleipnirs, double Hecate as well for maximum DPS. Even V&I, which is both tackle and DPS. That's going to be a lot of damage. Those Kirans cannot hold that. I expect the Hurricane and Vagabonds need to play for time and just run. Actually,
Well,
as well. What the hell?
the thing is though, they do have the Kurans, but all of the Minotaur ships here, well, the Vagabonds, the Sepners, they have bonus to shield booster mounts, and they will most likely be featuring XLASB, which is an extra large auxiliary shield booster, which doesn't rely on cap charges for for its first 9 charges, and then after that it requires a ridiculous amount of larger cap. But so they'll be having that self-sustained tank going for them as well.
Yeah, for sure, for a while. But under the damage of 2 Sleipnirs and double Hecate, I don't think your self-rep, even with a Kirin's, going to hold that. They're gonna at least like sacrifice a ship or two. It's gonna be a question of can they kill off the Hecates fast enough, because the Hecate is gonna be the target for sure. You can't let these Hecates start applying their DPS. I'll just check if they're a blaster fit, and I think they are. That looks like blasters. Small weird.
Also confirmed just now. And obviously, we do have ACs on the Sleipners. Wouldn't really do much else. RD comps being kind of a bit hard to pull off in this format.
Definitely can work, but I do agree they'd be a bit harder. A double Sleipnir comp with a good like hyena or so could definitely pull range and just survive for a long time. And with the resist nerfs as well, that'd just be brutal. So don't forget, we did see a rail comp a moment ago, so I think Artie is still viable as well.
And the warping and Zera, and definitely blasters on those Hecates.
Yeah, I expected as much. So yeah, double Hecate and Demos and V&I. That is not the comp I was expecting to see, but I'm loving it. I'm a blaster boy for life. So,
well, the one thing we might see here is the red team might have an advantage if RNG goes the way, because they are featuring the one Kitsune here. Normally, like I've spoken before in the previous match, one ECM ship is a bit of a bad decision because of the tunnel effect. Whatever it jams is still able to target it. The Kitsune does have the advantage that it's a frigate that can run away, and especially with the blue team here not having that much fast tackle, it can be a problem for them. That being said, the worm is a really good thing to take out of Kitsune.
The idea here is they don't have to do it. They don't have to last forever. They just need to just annoy them, because this is going to be a DPS race battle. So it's going to be who can kill ships fastest. If the Kitsune gets one jam off on a Sleipnir or a Hecate, that could turn the fight, and the match is off. And there they go, straight in. Hecate's already burning in. One Hecate's already going through shields.
And the red team running away, it seems like, dropping an EC cloud. So them looking to go for the EC route, hoping RNG is in their favor for this match, although they are running away.
Cool. They need a smart call for sure. They need to pull range and play for time. The longer they survive, the more DPS will be gone. One Hecate's already removed. Second Hecate's being blasted. He's gone too. I like that call for sure. Pull range and buy time. They've got the sustain here with double Kirin.
And we see the Kitsune just trying to outrun a drone card right now. So the moment he messes up, makes bad turn or slows down, he's probably getting volleyed by that, as long as he's in drone control range for them. Well, the Sleipnirs are getting pounded in the shields on both sides.
Yep, here comes a big Sleipnir fight now.
Oh, and the drone cloud's trying to catching that Kitsune as it took a turn there. So if he takes another bad turn, he might get volleyed.
He's trying to burn back in and try and get some Logi, I suspect. He's trying his best, but you see, he's just running for his life. But honestly, the longer he lives, the better. He's just keeping those drones busy, but he's about to go. There's nothing he can do. There he goes.
Oh, that's unfortunate. You probably would have been better off just running far away and getting the drones off him instead of trying to pull back into Logi range. So while frigates can rep you, their one main drawback is they have short range as well. So the prime rep range around 12 kilometers can fall off to about 30, but the Sleipnir dies now.
Yep, and honestly, because the Hecates went down at the start, that DPS benefit that the team had is just gone now. At this point, they've got no chance. Like, I know I'm calling that earlier, but they've got no chance. Sleipnir Hurricane plus Vagabond DPS with 2 Logi Frigs holding it up that they can't even kill. That's just a massive complete and utter swing. All because that team didn't rush in. They pulled away and cleared the Hecates off. That is beautifully played.
Oof, and that Sleipnir is just being crushed.
Gone, mate. You didn't have a chance in the world.
Man, it's just interesting to see like the Sleipnir one's pure self tank XOASB just out-repping.
Not matter.
Yeah, I mean, it's out-repping the other Sleipnir on the XLSB with Frigology on it as well. It's just there's a ridiculous amount of team damage coming from the red team right now.
Yeah, exactly. The Demos went down in seconds. The V&I. I wonder if The Demos went down so quickly compared to the VNI. I wonder if I can find out. Was Demos polarized?
I don't know. Maybe it's some janky play where they're like, "Hey, I have the assault damage control where I can just pop this and not war." No, wait, that doesn't coincide with polarization. Like that would nullify it.
Died in like actual seconds. Like it just. I don't think I even saw it in armor at all. We just went straight to hull and then popped. Where we are, the VNI is actually surviving. So I'm very confused. I mean, VNI is like, they're super tanky right now. They're overpowered as balls right now. But here we go.
That's for sure. But it's definitely going to go down. Bleeding that armor in the shield team.
They're trying to get rid of Kieran, but it doesn't matter.
Well, like at this point, to be honest, they can just ignore Kieran's and just nuke whatever. I mean, they've clearly displayed that they don't care. If the other team is Logi, they can just outperform them. Also,
I feel for the VNI pilot right now. He's got about, 10, 15 Hornet ECs. I've been there, man. It hurts. The worm got deleted.
I mean, luckily, the ECs don't have their old thing of being a full 20-second or so jam cycle. I believe their jam cycle is only 5 seconds. But with a cloud like that, 5 seconds every couple of seconds is pretty annoying.
It's 5 seconds jam, 15 seconds extra that they can't jam. But honestly, it doesn't matter because you have to then lock up the one drone that's jamming you. And they're like, okay, now I'm not jammed anymore, but now I have to pick my target again. They're still just as debilitating as ever. And honestly, in some ways, they're actually more annoying.
And a convincing victory by the red team. I think they only lost one ship. What did they lose? The Punisher? No.
That's how amazing
they didn't have a
Punisher. Don't even know what it was.
I forgot what that they brought.
So have I. What did they bring, guys? Let us know. Kitsune. Yes, Kitsune. That's right.
All right. Okay.
Was it? No. It was. Yeah, it was Kitsune.
No. Was
it? It was Kitsune because it had Logi. Yep, I remember now.
True that. Okay. Thanks. This is why we have a team working with us.
And honestly, that Kitsune, well played to him because he kept, 10, 15 drones on his tail. And the longer he lasted, the more he's jamming out, the more he annoyed their team.
For sure. He did a good play there. Unfortunately, the 2 turns he took got him slapped quite hard by the drones there. He could have kited to the other side of the arena, broken locks, pulled the drones even further. I think that might have been the better play, but even still coming back, the free Logi were good to catch him, give him a couple more seconds, and he really just bought them time.
Yeah, when he burned it back, he didn't just do a hard turn. He was slowly curving his way in, trying to get the reps. But yeah, not much he could do there. He did his absolute best, just going as fast as he can. And also, I don't know if I'd say he'd won the match. I think the thing that won that match was the fact that their team did not charge in like lunatics. They pulled away. They pulled distance and just started picking up ships.
It's a smart play. A lot of teams might look at that and think like, hey, on paper, we got the Logi, we got damage, we can just win them. But, a comp on paper still needs people to pilot it. And they made the right decision, and they played it effectively.
I agree. Well, let's have a look at the bans of the next 2 teams. You can run through this one.
All right. Well, we got the 2 teams that will be featuring soon. On the blue side, we'll be seeing Goondra Unloaded. And on the red side, we'll be seeing Fwaming Dwagon. So bans shared by both teams will be a Vindicator, with Goon Unloaded going for Balgon Serb and their bonus ban being a Blackbird, with Fwaming Dragon going for Barghest Nightmare and their bonus ban being a Kitsune.
It was actually amazing how similar those bans are. Obviously, they both banned Vindicator. Fair enough. Then they banned out 2 control power battleships, Balgor and Barghest. Then they banned out 2 ECM boats equally, Blackbird, Kitsune. And the Cerberus Nightmare is probably the only odd ones out there. And even then, they're I wouldn't call them similar, but they have the same sort of role, DPS and tank, and being a pain in the ass to catch.
Well, one thing you could say is that the bonus ban from Fwaming Dragon might be reactive to the Cerberus ban coming from Goondra, because they might have thought like, hey, Cerb's being banned, so they might be trying to feature some light kitey thing, which could be annoying, such as a Kitsune. So if the Cerberus is gone and it can't really deal with a Kitsune, let's just ban a Kitsune. So that's one reason. The other reason is it's ECM and you just don't want to deal with it.
Absolutely. These matches tend to go pretty quickly. I've seen very few matches that really just are playing like Outlast games. So like ECM, if they get even a single jam, can turn a match almost every time. Of course, they fail a jam, they're just a wasted chip.
So a lot of people go for the Blackbird ban and then don't really bother with the Rook or Falcon. The main reason being that the Rook and Falcon are obviously more expensive. So you're kind of taking a gamble that if I ban the Blackbird, I'm okay with them taking the Falcon or the Rook because it's more expensive points that I have to point that I have to sacrifice somewhere else. So that's also why you don't really see a full range of ECM bans normally from team, being the Blackbird, Rook, and the Falcon, the Cruises ECM, because they're relying on the other teams suffering from having to pay a higher cost from taking the recons.
Yeah, exactly that. Like if you either bring a Blackbird or you bring a Kitsune, and that's really about it. And a Kitsune, they probably plan they can kill that. And they're not going to bring a Rook or a Falcon or a Scorpion, I guess. That'd be kind of funny, to be honest. But they're not going to bother bringing those. It's just too expensive. It's not worth it.
Well, one difficult thing with a Kitsune, though, is it's a fantastic ship, as we saw in the previous game, where it can just have that kite potential, buying time either by jamming on crucial ships or just being kiting and wasting people's time. But the one bad side of it is it takes up a frigate slot. So if you were to have a Kitsune, that means you won't have a tackle frigate. So either a team might go for something like Hugin's or Loki's with webs or to cover that slot, or they'll make sure that the lost frigate slot does have some tackle frigate. Or like
I'm excited. I'm sorry, I'm excited. Remember we were talking about how the Sleipnirs couldn't run in this format?
Mm.
Have a look at that Sleipnir. What's the guns that got fitted on it?
Oh no! Does it have Artie's fit? Fantastic.
They've gone for looks something like Fly Killer and Run Away. I'm loving this. Yes.
What I'm wondering, with the red team coming with 2 Gilas, Svep, Harpy, Scimitar, and a Flycatcher, looks like they are oriented towards the kitiness with the Gilas, the RD. What I'm wondering is if they're going to be using that Flycatcher's webification bubble, which people refer to as a webble, to just add to use it as a screening delay tactic.
See if they've got the I don't know if you can see the bubble things fitted. I've never actually looked for one.
No, Interdiction don't have launching models.
Yeah, I better say, because I've never bothered to look for one, because I mean, you see a Saber out in the wild, you know it's got a bubble fitted.
So that'll be one thing I want to see them do. Unfortunately, due to changes, in the past when the wobbles initially came out, if you overheated your prop mod and you had links, you could actually outrun the bubble before it burst, because it's not like a normal bubble. It gets dropped, it has delay, and then it pops and applies an effect. Once that effect is on, it's on. It's not like another bubble which you can smart bomb off. So if you played for speed and you heated your prop mod, you could outrun your own webification bubble. With the recent changes they've done with, I believe, in increased or reduced activation time and so on, Interdictor will always get caught in its own bubble now. So that's the sacrifice you have to play, is if you're going to drop a webification bubble, you're going to be caught in it as well. So you just have to be aware that you're probably going to die.
Like the Flycatcher is probably the right ship for that job. But the Flycatchers can get very tanky. So they can try and survive enough to get back out the bubble again, then just wait for his time to do it again. Match starting in 30 seconds as well.
And we see both teams coming in at range here. The red team grouping up, so they're not doing the sacrificial Flycatcher play, which they'd have no reason to, and the blue team a bit more spread out. Yep,
they'll pick the time and place to sacrifice them, but time's about to start. We're going to have to see if you're right and they can't kite with a Sleipnir. Time to put your money where your mouth is, sir. And here we go.
Well, if that Armageddon can start getting in, the Armageddon is, and then they're just standing still and dropping sentries. But Armageddon has a long-range nuke bonus. It's like a Belgorn, except it has a much better range bonus to its newts. So if that can start annoying them, it'll start shutting them down and reduce their kiting potential as well.
So it looks like the Gila's being hit. I'm trying to see what other damage is being put out onto the red team. Are they going for the Sleipnir?
It looks like Ishtar is getting a hit now, McCope. Well, it's just got his shield stripped slightly. Not real damage going out, but the Drake's taking issue and it's getting wrapped up again.
It's going to be interesting because they've always got the Scimitar there. They're probably one of the best lodges we can see for the situation. And that Drake is holding. And the damage is going on to
neither team really committing. Both of them seem content with having a standoff here and just punching each other at range.
Yeah, I suspect this Drake is going to do really well in the team just simply because of the resist bonus. It's just going to sit there and tank. It may not be as fast as everything else. It's not a real fly killer comp, but it does have the tank to try and outlast with the Scimitar's help. They need to try and commit or do something to try and affect this enemy team.
Yeah,
honestly, at this
nothing's
point,
really
I'd shoot
happening
bounces.
at this point. Yeah,
At this point,
defanging is
I'd
an
legit
option.
shoot bounces. I'd legit shoot bounces. What else are you going to do at the moment? You can't really break anything just yet. Let's buy a bit of time, remove some drones, and then work on what we're going to do again after.
And we have that Armageddon slowly creeping in. So what he might be looking to do is either look for an opportunity to just like newt volley that scimitar to get him dead in the water, or start shutting off some prop mods and hardeners so that they can start actually effectively maybe killing that Drake.
Potentially, for sure. So nothing else is really happening that I can see. I'm keeping an eye out on the frigates. Nothing's really going on.
So
I think this Geddon's going to play control, and he's getting right into the middle, right in front of the enemy.
Yeah, there's no hard points for missiles or guns fitted on that Geddon, so all his highs will be dedicated to utility, be that newts or smart bombs.
Yeah, and look at that. Immediately, the enemy's tossed out Hornet EC just to be like, no, you're not allowed to do anything. Now, we're mentioning before about Hornets not being able to permajam. Here's the kicker: they can permajam battleships.
Because I know why specifically battleships.
Because the lock time on battleships for drones is longer than 20 seconds.
All right, but so it's more just if you were to go to killing the drones, not for actually he can still lock up a Drake fast enough before the next jam cycle.
No, as in you'll take. Well, I guess technically, you could lock up a Drake in time and fire a shot or two, but
and there is smart bombs that clears them off.
Oh man, you proved me wrong, guys. But yeah, if you're trying to remove the drones jamming him, you literally cannot lock him in time before the drones rejam you. And of course, a new drone is now jamming you.
Well, what we're seeing happening now is that Armageddon has creeped forward and the rest of the team has kind of stayed back. What's happened is it's put the Deacons in a bit of an awkward position where they wanted to make sure that Ishtar at the back wasn't dying, but then the Armageddon slowly creeping out of rep range. So it looks like the team's woken up to this and they started going forward as a unit to allow those Deacons to stay in rep range. And now that's why you see the Armageddon getting its armor back up, because the Deacons are going out of that heavy fall off and getting back into their optimal of about 6 kilometers.
And this Gila of Carvegi, I think he's been super neutered out by that Armageddon, because he's barely moving. He's still only going 200 at the moment. He's pretty much stuck within newt range. No, you should do at least one cycle of Mike War Drive. Get out of that newt range. Get your capacitor back. But I legit think he might just be neutered out. Now, there we go. He's got a cycle. He's good.
Yeah, one thing the Armageddon pilot has to be careful of here, it's very tempting that once a target is in range, you just want to go F1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the newts.
F1 to F8, press everything, yeah.
Yeah, but heavy newts have a really, really long cycle time. So the best thing you can actually do is be patient. Cycle one, wait a couple seconds, cycle them. So you stagger your newts to make sure that if he's injecting or having a hardener or something, you're hitting him with a newt every couple of seconds to make sure he stays down. Because if you hit him with all your newts at once, he just hits an injector once and he's like, cool, thanks, bro.
Yeah, there's two ways of doing it that I've seen, and one of them is pretty easier than the other. One is just to click one every 1 or 2 seconds. You click one, then the next, and just keep neuting. The second one is to do what I call a double tap, where you hit them with 3 or 4 immediately to zero their cap, and then the moment they hit their cap booster, a second or two later, you then hit them with the other 3, and immediately zero out their cap. It requires some good brains realizing when the enemy's about to press the button, but if you can get it right, it just destroys them immediately. They have no chance.
Definitely, because it's also if you go for the stagger tactic, it's really it's almost counterintuitive, just that patience. I have all these newts, but you almost need to wait 20 or seconds before you can finally activate your last newt, and it just feels I want to put them all on now.
Use these, yeah, exactly. Honestly, it's not really that much going on. All the targets have been hit and hurt, but so far everyone's holding.
The Sentry called that back. Yeah, the Sentry called that back. So they're slowly pushing the red team a bit further back. As they do that, the optimal range of the Sentries might be getting less, but tracking also becomes less on the issue, which is why we probably see this Flycatcher taking harder and harder hits, because as they start getting pushed further away, those Sentries start getting better tracking.
I wonder why the Flycatcher is going so slow. He's only doing 300. He didn't put out a wobble. No, he's just going really slow. Did he get one hit neutered by the Armageddon, you think?
Well, it looks like he's actually trying to tackle the Armageddon.
Yeah, he's just keeping his signature low but not cycling. Fair enough. Armageddon's going to be held down by him now. But there's a Gila right next. Why is that Gila so close to the Armageddon? Why?
Well, I'm not too sure here. There were a bunch of shield bots on that Flycatcher also helping him stay up, but the Geddon got in, smart bomb lows off.
Yeah, that smart bomb for that Geddon is putting in absolute work. This is honestly just such a stalemate match at the moment. I'm not really seeing anything going on my end.
Me neither. Like they'll have to try and kill something. I think they, at this point, I would honestly, their sentry drones are probably a bit far back, probably into
Deacon!
full off.
Oh, that's a sudden drop. One of the Deacons just went down.
Oh, that's going to be a big win.
That's
swing.
a turn. That's a turning point right there. If they can keep this Flycatcher up and keep holding that Armageddon down, those other ships can start picking off small stuff. Then get rid of the second Deacon. Oh, look at the Flycatcher! Oh,
trading a
God.
Flycatcher for a Deacon is not much of a win when you have the Gila and the Scimitar still untackled and able to kite.
Oh yeah, that Flycatcher does definitely hurt to lose, but honestly, I would be happy to get rid of that bloody Deacon, so that way they can stop repping themselves up and they can start picking off targets.
And now
kill the second Deacon, they pick up the Ishtar.
They can slowly start grinding away at the other Deacon because they don't really have rep bots to keep that Deacon up because they're damage rep bot, damage drone comp. So they're dedicating their drone base towards damage.
Interesting thing as well is the Ishtars have no guns fitted either. Like
normally you'd have these drone boats will be fitting newts right now. So that's probably also they were harassing those Deacons, making sure that they weren't able to rep each other.
I believe they were on the team with the Deacons. So yeah, they had Armageddon and double Ishtar. There's maximum newt fit. You know, that maxi tank and no guns. But you look at Gila. Whoa! The Scimitar couldn't even save him. What happened there? Was the Scimitar being jammed?
Scimitar is actually being neutered right now by the Geddon, so it looks like he's finally got into range. So that Geddon's starting to shut down those reps from the Scimitar.
Meanwhile, Magus goes down. Everyone's starting to die all of a sudden at once. We went from nothing happening to everything happening.
I was honestly expecting a lot bigger swing here when those Deacons going down, but it seems there's still a bit of a grindy match now.
Seeing a Harpy being punished, but the Scimitar's just not repping at all.
I believe we have about 2 minutes left on the match and looking quite tired.
Yeah, they need to get rid of one of these Ishtars, I suspect, but it looks like they're going for a Myrmidon by the looks of it, unless I'm crazy. That's an interesting call. I swear they're actually tankier than Ishtars. Or at least they can be.
Well, they do have the local rep bonus as well.
As well as Lynx, yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure. I guess they're picking on the Myrmidon. Now, they need to get away from that Geddon at this point. Just run away from the Geddon. They've removed all the warriors from tackle ships. Just go.
Yeah, but that Scimitar is having a bad time. Like, he can activate his prop mods every now and then, but that Geddon is neuting him with that extreme long-range heavy newts.
Yeah, that's one thing I love about Geddons. They're amazing for control. In some ways, I kind of consider them better than Balgorn, so that sole purpose is just the extra range newt.
And as you can see here, like every now and then when the Semi's prop mods gets knocked out and the drones catch up, it gets knocked down a bit. Infiltrators on it seems every now and then the logic in Eve isn't always the best, and your drones will decide to suddenly start following another target. So one thing these drone pilots do have to be conscious of is to make sure that their drones stay on what they actually want to shoot.
I would joke about how the Drake doesn't really fit a Flycatcher comp. He is currently the slowest thing on grid, and you can see both Ishtars are following him. They're chasing him. He's actually outrunning him. He's currently outrunning
We're
him.
in our final minute now.
Yes, 1 minute left. I don't know who's going to win this. I don't know what the points are for this. But that Drake is actually outrunning Ishtars. Go, buddy, go. You can do it, my friend. 30 seconds left. I don't know what the points advantage is on this, but they almost got an Ishtar down.
Well, let me see if I can get that. So while we're waiting for this to finish up in the last couple of 30 seconds.
Come on, get the Ishtar, please. Get the Ishtar. I think they spent too much time just trying to pick on that Myrmidon. They should have picked on one of the Ishtars and just finished them off. I think that's going to be it. He's getting low armor. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The Ishtar was in hull.
Oh, so close. So we have the blue team here on 24 points. Let me just see what we have left. No, not 24, sorry. 76, 24 points left. And it seems like they're killing the Ishtar just out of spite.
And what is poor red team? I suspect blue's going to come ahead with that. That's 2 assault cruisers, a Myrmidon and Armageddon. They should be higher, surely.
And 1 point victory by red team.
What? Wow, nicely played. I honestly thought blue had that one. That's crazy. That was a long ass match.
That is a close thing. Oh wow! So like, I mean, even with that Ishtar kill, they would have won. Like they still won by 1 point. But that was close.
I feel like I'm looking at the drone cloud. I don't think they ever actually killed any of the bouncers or the curators at any point during that match.
As I'm cleaning up, I can tell you they didn't.
Soth's currently going crazy in the background. He's just... Sorry, ignore me, guys. But yeah, that was a surprisingly close match. Also, I'm being seen.
Oh, what's happened now? Oh.
Yeah, we've been changing over screens.
I mean, a lot of like nothing was happening there at the beginning, kind of wondering how it was going to close out, and then just suddenly seeing when those deacon that they managed to get off that one deacon and capitalize on that.
Everything exploded. Yeah, the moment that deacon went down, both teams managed to pick off kills. So I'm curious if that's just like a coincidence of timing there, or if it was just like, okay, now we need to start killing you because you've killed off one of our logies.
Well, what can also happen, again, like some teams can just go like, total game changer once the logies upgrade, because they know that the once that first free logi dies, the second one's going to go down, so they need to suddenly change plans. But also what could have contributed to those Deacons' deaths as well is when you have these long matches like this where and nothing's happening, and the Armageddon's getting pound, the Ishtar's getting pound. Logi pilots can generally get a bit of tunnel vision into rep mode, like, just make sure I'm in optimal, just make sure I'm doing this, and they're not really looking at their surroundings. All they're worried about is where's their team and making sure you can rep the team. And then suddenly they start forgetting that there's another team that's creeping up and looking for opportunity to capitalize on you making a mistake, and that's probably what happened here. I'm not too sure what was the thing that led exactly to their death, but having this long match, you start getting a bit of tunnel vision on the rep side of things, and then you start messing up your positioning, being unaware of the enemy.
I kind of suspect what happened there is that the Gilas finally decided to put their drones on them.
Honestly, then the rapid lights as well from Gilas.
Yeah, I think the Gilas put like their drones at the start of the match onto that Ishtar they were focusing on, and then at mid game they kind of realized, wait a minute, we should probably target these deacons, because no matter how sick tanky deacons are, with rapid lights plus drones, I honestly don't feel like they can survive 2 Gilas. Like, maybe I'm wrong, their sig is really tiny or something, but I don't think they can. No matter how sick tiny the sig is.
Generally, I think they can. The one thing, though, it's more to do with switching. So when you're doing one cruiser logi, it's a lot easier to, so I say, stay alive, because you just have to worry about yourself. But when you're doing frig logi, you have to think, where's the other pilot? You have to make sure you're in range of your partner, you're in range of the target, because there's no real anchoring. It's a bunch of people should be double clicking space normally to control themselves. And then it's not only that, it's just you have to then suddenly make sure you're switching. So, it could have been like they were both focused on repping the get in, and then, suddenly they're switched over and like, hey, I'm being hit by the Gila. Oh, you're being hit? Oh, let me decycle these reps, wait for decycle, click on you,
switch target,
click these reps. So that delay does lead to a lot of deaths for frig logi generally, when your partner isn't fast enough to do that switch.
You notice, by the way, as well, but all the ships we're seeing now when it comes to frig logis aren't the old school, ships they used to be. Now they're just generally Tech 2 or battleships. Something that can build the resist it needs, because with the resist nerf now, those frig reps don't really do that much. You have to really stack up the resist to make it worth it. And I feel like it's very interesting now to see how that's changed from the older days where they're all just kite boys.
Yeah. And unfortunately,
they have Double Ishtar, Myrmidon, Armageddon. That's a lot of they can build really high resist on those ships.
Oh, we already have another team landing on Gerd here with an interesting choice. But we'll go over their bans first for this game, wouldn't it?
Hell yeah. Of course, D-Line Force, being the absolute Ds they are, they had no bans whatsoever. Then Forklift Certified Cops. I like that name. Hyena, Balgorn, Zarmads? What?
Oh, that's an interesting ban. Like, the one thing the Zarmaz has going for it over other logi is I believe it's actually priced 2 points cheaper than the other T2 logi in this. The disadvantage of this arm being it only really has 1 rep. So it definitely has a strong rep, which like a Triglavian weapon starts spooling up, so it reps stronger the more it starts going. But the problem is the moment they switch targets, you need to start spooling up again. So its disadvantage is it's not good at covering multiple targets. Its advantage is it's cheaper, it's quite self-sustainable at kiting, at cap, at all of that. And it has strong reps, but yeah.
I hate to say, as the guys from last week remember, I do not consider the Zarmad a real logi. It's everything it can do, other logis do better. The one thing it can do is rep 1 target better. But all it takes is 2 brain cells rub together.
No, I'm in favor of it. It's a fantastic ship in my opinion. No, we use it to great effect, because we value skill.
Yeah, but I mean, anyone can do something right once upon a time. Broken clocks right twice a day.
Well, the great thing about his arm as well is the utility mids, but we already have the teams landing here on grid. So we have the red team with a forklift certified Goths coming in close range of your favorite ship, a Vindicator, at 0. Also, an interesting choice that they're featuring here is an Ibis.
I'm actually, a lot of this match is kind of curious now. We've got ships I didn't expect to see. Double Thalia, Vindicator, Legion. Then you have a Vindicator on the other side, Oneros, Nurgle, Talos? What is this match?
Very interesting setups. But the Ibis, I believe, is geared towards ECM bonus, even though it's a rookie ship, correct?
I think so. I don't know if it actually.
That's correct. It has a roll. It has a roll bonus of 30% towards targeted jammers.
That's gonna be the most stupidest thing to see in this match. If that actually gets a jam off, I'm just gonna eat my chair. Like, that's ridiculous.
Well, we have the countdown happening, so it'll be kicking off soon. But yeah, this will be an interesting one. I'm more in favor of the Vindicators of the Legions than Thalias.
Definitely not the way I was expecting to see this match. Like, that is such a wild difference.
And they're off. And in case it wasn't mentioned before, these Legions are rocking the Newt subsystem with hams. So they'll also be looking to apply some pressure of their Newts on theirs if they can get in.
And look at the Vindy burning in. The red team Vindy? Yeah, red team Vindy just burning in, trying to grab the other Vindicator down. See the Legion burning in as well.
Nurgle looks like he's flanking around. He might be going to look to pick off that Ibis by himself.
There's also Retribution just absolutely booking it, which I'm loving to watching.
Well, that Legion is going to be going down soon if the Thalias can't keep him up.
Oh, that Ibis is just living to win right now. The
Nurgle Retribution. Yeah, the Nurgle looks like it's coming around. Although they might be looking to ignore him. Looks like they're coming around for the Thalias.
Yeah, they're going for the Thalias right now. They've both come around the opposite side of the enemy team. Legion goes down. Ibis is just being beaten up by something, but they are going in there.
And the blue team just seems to be hammering into them with all this DPS right now, crushing the Legion. Going into the next one, it looks like, well, the other Vindicator is sitting at half.
Yeah, that Vindicator is going to have some self-rep as well, but he's being wrapped up by 2 Thalias. We know the other Vindicator, if they are fighting each other, he's being wrapped up by an Oneros. That is one hell of a difference.
Definitely
they're going for a Legion still. They're going for the Legion, my bad, sorry.
Oh, what we're seeing interesting here is that the Talos is keeping at range. I believe he actually has. No, I'm not sure if that looks like railguns on the Talos. If I can be corrected on that.
It's the same as the Naga, so I'm pretty sure that's railguns.
Yeah.
Look at this Vindicator though. Vindicator's about to go in the hull. Thalia's got to overheat those reps, but then they're trying to decide now. Do we save? Actually, not Thalia. Sorry, Oneros has got to overheat it. My bad. Wrong ships. Oneros has got to overheat those reps, man. Come on, hold them on, hold on.
No, he's definitely will be going down soon. It looks like it's more just a question of if he can take down the other thing with him. But I doubt that Red Team Vindy's going to go down at this stage.
He's got to overheat resist.
He will be going down. I mean, I'm not sure if the blue team will go down at this stage.
Honestly, I actually think they might trade the other Vindy first. The Thalias are being pressured. The Oneros is keeping the Vindicator up. He might survive this.
Yeah, I do believe Alaska will survive this, unless the Ibis gets like a hero gem and then a Nero somehow, just so they can trade for the moral victory.
Honestly, no, he needs the hero gem, the Vindicator. Never mind, Vindicator goes down.
Just Ibis left now. Let's see if he can live to win, just to spike the enemy team.
And honestly, bravo to I think it's Sarion Ikaruga for keeping that Vindicator up there. That was beautiful. Just enough reps, but also, I don't know if he was actually intentionally bait tanking that or not, but it kind of seemed like he was, doesn't it?
It does seem like it was playing around a lot more. I mean, you could say it's because, damage was falling off from enemy team and the enemy Vindy might have, been toggling heat on his guns a bit, but yeah, it could definitely be bait as well.
Yeah, if it wasn't bait, it definitely looked like it, so bravo. If it was bait, it looked like it, so bravo.
Not just sure what reason you would have for baiting onto a Vindy.
I'm not entirely sure, but at the same time, it's like you've got this T2 Logi ship that can almost definitely keep you up. Their fleet didn't really have that much damage compared to your team, so it's like, just make him look like he's about to go down, then start repping him, because I don't think I even saw the Vindicator rep himself. I suspect he should have at least one large ancillary.
Well, I think it's also just the amount of damage we're seeing. A lot of times you won't even see the rep cycles normally show up on the overview because it's just damage and reps happening at the same time.
Yeah. By the way, have you seen what the Ibis was fitted with? They put it in local. I approve of the prop. This is one of my favorite props to fit on every frigate.
A 10 MN multi-spec Ibis. What a hero.
It's double microauxiliary power core as well. It's just like they did everything they could to fit the singular prop mod into it. Bravo, I love it.
That's fantastic. I think like there has been a tournament before for actual AT where an Ibis has been featured on the main stage and actually has been a hero Ibis getting off a crucial jam to win the match. This was in the old times of ECM where a single jam would lock a target out completely for 20 seconds though.
Yeah, it still can happen now, but it just means that the moment you do so, you are pointing at yourself and saying, please, dear God, shoot me.
I think the only advantage really an Ibis has is most of the time over other ships is it can generally luck. That's actually something we can talk about with like a Kitsune is if you're featuring something like a Widow, it's a lot more evident if you do a Widow, but even for when the cruisers come. If you have a match where you're flying a cruiser logi or something bigger and you're going to Kitsune, normally one of your biggest fears is that Kitsune is going to lock you out because it's a frigate. It can lock you first. It can jam you first, and then you're stuck there in a one-on-one war versus them. So effectively a 7-point ship has locked out your 16, 17-point ship from the game just because it could lock first.
Yeah, and now that doesn't quite work the way it used to because, of course, now you can kind of return the favors. You bring a Blackbird, they bring Kitsune. Even if they jam you, you can still return the favor and make sure they can't do anything else, which is depends if you consider that a win or a loss. You can say that you've won, that now both ships are being essentially deleted from the fight. But it also could mean like if you bring a Rook, for instance, they bring a Kitsune and they jam you. That's infuriating.
It is like, especially a Widow is also being featured sometimes around the matches. They're great ships because of all the jams they have. I believe Black Ops is normally priced relatively cheap later, especially in the Alliance Opens. But it can be infuriating if you're bringing the 17 or a Black Ops 22-ish point ship or such. I have to clarify, might be on the 30. No, it's probably in the 30 range. And then this little cheeky little 7-point boy is just going, nope, you're playing with me the rest of you're playing with me the rest of this tournament. Like it's just you and me now, buddy. We're gonna have our one-on-one the rest of this game.
I mean, we've seen Hero Griffins before, both in the AT and the AO. I think we've seen them in the 5v5. Like the Hero Griffin. Imagine being that Griffin pilot who jams out the Widow and be like, hey, guess who's your new friend for the next 10 minutes? That's just like, just kill me, please. Just self-destruct my ship. I'm done.
Yeah, like because a Griffin being a electronic disruption ship, a T1 is priced at 4 points. And a Black Ops, we have them priced at 27 points this tournament. A T1 battleship being 25. So a Widow is only 2 points more expensive than a normal T1 battleship. But when you have 4 points knocking out 27 points for the rest of the game, you're winning.
Oh yeah. I also have to mention this as well because I'm looking at Discord. That the D-Line Force team is the guys who didn't ban a single thing. They've won 3 matches in a row.
That's fantastic for them, though.
That is just like maximum ball team.
They also seem to be making good use of the long-range attack battle cruisers as well today.
Oh yeah, I honestly was surprised we didn't see more of them before. I mean, I get the certain situations didn't quite work, but with the damage buff and the DP and the resist nerf, I really feel like they're going to come in their own. Just the amount of DPS they can put out at range is just you can't match it at some ships. You really just can't match that DPS.
Yeah, the normal issue they kind of generally have with those long heavy weapon systems is, you would say, tracking. But when it gets in a brawl scenario like that, where you just have 2 Vindis pounding into other and they're 90% Serpentis webs, Serpentis having the bonus to the speed reduction of the webs, they'll have no problem doing their maximum potential damage into whatever's hit in there in the brawl right now. Yeah,
alternatively, you just play for maximum range. At that point, it doesn't really matter. They can try transversal all they want. You'll still hit. I honestly quite like that Dominic's Naga comp. Because if you can't apply with the Nagas, Dominic's can. So it kind of forces them to kind of pick,
Well, we've also seen them capitalize on that initial rush that the teams have had, like when they went up against the Lokis. A lot of teams might tunnel vision knowing that, hey, we need to go in and we need to tackle that. But, they still need to keep in mind that you're going towards where the guns are shooting you from. So if you're not spiraling, feathering in, what they like to say, you're gonna light up from that MWD and you're going straight into them and you're just an easy target. And we have the other teams taking the field here right now. One team, blue team, already working on grid.
This is definitely an entirely different fight. Very different fight.
Oh, we'll see now. So we have the teams here in blue of Goondra Unloaded, and in red we have Jovco Mining Division. If you just want to go over their bands that they chose for this match.
No worries. Goondra banned off Blackbird and Euros Hugans. They banned out the cheap ECM that everyone wants to use, the T2 Logi or good armor Logi. Hugin, of course, range control. Then Jovco banned out Vindicator, Bargon, Bargates. 3 just power battleships. 2 good control ones, 1 good control if you get within 10k. So that's a very interesting set of bans. But the ships they brought are just not what I was expecting to see. Double APOC Navy? Hell yeah!
That's definitely interesting. I mean, I love the APOC. It's a glorious ship for sure.
I love when it's filled with blasters. It's great. That's so fun.
But we're actually seeing a curse take the field now, so it's going to be interesting what they decide to choose on that curse. Obviously, it can't put scripts on its disruptors, but it's still going to have have the choice beforehand if you wanted to use tracking or guidance disruptors or a combination of. So we could have a scenario here where he chose to go tracking disruptors, and we're mostly seeing a missile comp from them, and they're not going to be that effective. That being said, if you do end up in this scenario,
so top heavy. The comp is so top heavy. 2 APOC navies? What? That's so top heavy. That's the only DPS they have. Except for Jackdaws, I guess.
Well, the curse does have a bit of damage coming from its way, but it's nowhere in comparison.
I mean, sure, if you count a wet noodle as damage, I suppose. I'm joking, but, of course. It does have a good amount.
The one thing I did want to note, though, is if we do end up in a scenario where that curse did only, for argument's sake, bring tracking disruptors against turrets, and it's gone against this comp, he does still have the option of putting those tracking disruptors on the enemy drones coming from the rattlesnakes to make sure that damage isn't coming through.
And that's the one weakness about the Gila and Rattlesnake as well, is they only get 2. So it's actually very easy for the curse to be able to do that. As the timer ended, and here we go. Timer started, sorry.
So let's see if those APOCs can take advantage of this range to see if they can maybe volley something off the field while it's still lit or otherwise slowly creeping forward.
Are they going to go for the Basilisk? I kind of expect the Basilisk, but I could be very wrong there. Let's have a look-see. We're seeing... do those Jackdaws on the opposing team have tracking disruptors?
Could be. They
perhaps?
generally have utility mids. Let's see what they're doing.
Seeing effects onto...
Yeah, they're definitely doing some sort of E-War there. But that's definitely like a guidance or tracking disruptor, I believe.
Yes. And it looks like they're trying to pick on the Stork, but the Stork's right next to a Basilisk. There is almost no way they're going to break through that. The Bassie's got to be the call. You have to. You can't break anything else when he's there.
Yeah, for sure, no. It also looks like they're having a hard time hitting the Gila right now.
And also as well, like the Bassie as well, one thing about it, of course, is that it's shield. Shield fires off at the start of the cycle, not the end. So he can be very reactive to the fight. So there's no way they can switch targets as far as I'm concerned. They have to pick one.
Well, an interesting thing as well is just teams featuring the Bassie. So for this tournament, we've actually allowed the use of the Etana. It's one of the only limited ships we've allowed the use of, just to kind of incentivize people to take shield, because generally people like armor. So now when you see Bassie on the field like this, it might actually be an Etana if you ever see this comp on the main stage. So that is something to keep in mind.
And the Hyena just goes down. That was their only real application help on that fleet, and it's just gone. Honestly, this is not looking good. They're going for the Gila still. I don't know if the Bassie can definitely hold him up. It looks like he's doing pretty well. And one of the Armageddon's almost going into armor soon. This is not good. Not good.
Yeah, it looks like they're a bit of out of luck. They're staying at range, allowing those Geddons to just APOCs to just apply to them right now. Although they're still kind of trying to pile into the Gila. They, like you said, they should be looking to make some plays on that Bassie right now.
And the worst thing as well is the Bassie's bloody Caldari tech too. Unless they've fitted like as many EM resists as they desire, it has 0 shield EM resistance. I guess plus the obviously the whole trait. So it gets like what? No, it doesn't have traits. It's literally 0. Why are you not even attempting to shoot the Bassie?
They're not even having drones going there. Like you said, the drones are hovering back around where they are. At first, I thought it might be rep bots that they might be looking to keep the APOC up, but they seem content to just sit there and see if they can get the Gila. I mean, they might get the Jackdaw if he doesn't watch his transversal, but they're not making a play for that Logi at all, and they might start bleeding on that APOC.
Bassie's going to hold everything up, at least long enough to win this fight at the moment. It looks like the Epoch Navy is getting slowly chunky. It looks like they have maximum armor fit. Oh,
Jackdaw on the red team.
Ragnar. Oh, not good.
So what we might be seeing happening here is some E-War. Oh, that finally decided to start ripping into that Bassie.
And look at that. The moment they shoot him, look at that. The moment they try.
Finally woke up to it. Like, we could have seen the E-War on the red team being a real damper for the blue team right now, and that's probably why they wanted to get the Jackdaw. Also, it's just a target of opportunity. But finally waking up to the fact that they need to get that Bassie off the field.
Honestly, I think it's too late. They had the backup DPS from the Jackdaws to be able to really pile into it. Now it's just 2 Epoch Navy issues without that backup of extra volleys. That Bassie will hold till the XLASB runs out. That's oh, never mind, he just got deleted. I like being wrong. That's good.
And while we're sitting here, I'm trying to check with that. Okay, the Rattlesnake has Cruises fit as well, so I just wanted to confirm that. But yeah, it's not looking good right now, I'd say. Like that Rattlesnake and the Gillas can give that Apoc a hard time. If those Gillas can maintain their transversals, those Apocs aren't really going to be able to do anything to it. So they'll have to do that Rattlesnake. But the Rattlesnake featuring Cruises can play a long range game as well.
Yeah, and now that the Bassie's gone, they have a chance, except they've lost all their Jackdaws, so they have to rely on large laser tracking. And anyone who's ever flown with large lasers knows that doesn't work. You don't get tracking with large lasers. You end shooting at the side of a barn and missing still.
And the curse looks like he's getting down there from some drones now coming finally onto him there. I mean, once that's down, there's not much in the way of keeping them from just cutting out these Apocs and just toying with them at range.
Yeah, there's nothing to do. Like the Apocs, they don't want to put the toy range. They want to toy up close. Get within 30k and just start orbiting.
Oh, that's true too.
Outrun the
they probably won't have grapples fit. They might have gone for a full like tracking comp setup and see those.
I think even with grapples, they might struggle a little bit. But the point is, like, they can just get as close as they desire and just start doing orbits. But
looking at them as well. It looks like there might even be no prop Apocs because I haven't seen them move over their base velocity as well.
There is no way they've wasted a mid slot on a prop. There is no way in a million years. I've only got 4 mids. You got to make use of them. These are non-prop.
Those Gillas are just going to run circles around them. Although we see the one Gilla of McCope seems like he's committing in. He might pay for it.
Yeah, he's going to die for sure. He's actually running away, but that's kind of the problem. He's running away from lasers. They can shoot you no matter where you go.
Oh, actually, it seems like I called out the wrong person. McCope is actually still alive, but he seems he's going to be making the same mistake as another Gilla and just feeding in for no reason.
Actually, I think, both these Apoc Navies have definitely got grapples fitted for sure, because that Gila is barely moving now. So, no prop, but they've got double grappler. So it looks like one's trying to now keep it range. You can see
it's almost no reason for the Gila to have gone in, though. They were sitting at an advantage. They're playing at range, whittling away at the Apoc. And while they're probably still going to come ahead here, it's an unnecessary loss, losing 2 of your heavy Pirate Faction cruisers.
Yeah, you need to stay about 30k and just keep orbiting, to be honest. I mean, hell, you probably risk 20k, but obviously double grapple will start hitting you there, even if it's not the best. But yeah, Apoc Navy goes down. Gila goes down at the same time. Second Apoc Navy is the only one that's left on this team. Now he's going to try and hero win this fight. There's still a bunch of drones, I think, on the Hawk trying to harass him. Yep. They got Valkyries on that Hawk. It is actually hurting the Hawk quite badly. I suspect that he should have a rep of his own. Maybe.
Well, we'll see what he has. Might also like ADC, soul damage control, which might be helping him. But obviously now that he has no shield, that's going to be of 0 use. And there's no real robots to pick him up.
He's now being webbed because he's right next to the Epoch Navy, and the Epoch Navy has no one else to web at the moment. It's like, why not web the ship right here? And now his drones are applying even better. He might even try a laser volley in a moment, but the drones will do the job.
But I think we have roughly 4 minutes left here. So Apoc, if he pulls through, he might actually be able to, if he can take out that rattle after this, I mean, it's a win. I mean, they're doing quite well. Those Gillas shouldn't have fed themselves that much, but...
Oh, yeah. I'm also curious why the Hawk was that close. I mean, I get it. Your job is to tackle, but the Apoc Navy obviously has no prop. I mean, maybe you might have an MJ.
Yeah, they definitely should have realized by now that it has no prop.
You're like, wait a minute, this guy isn't moving. Maybe we shouldn't be getting up close. And it actually looks like the Apoc Navy is actually going for the Rattlesnake. If we don't see a single cycle of Rattlesnake, you might be able to break him, maybe.
And it's that Apoc's likely using the pulses, and it's pulses versus cruise, so that's long versus close. Obviously, the Rattle does have a lot of damage coming from its drones still, but it's looking like the Apoc's winning this race right now.
Look at this Horn ECs from the Apoc Navy. Absolute dishonor. He might just get the jam, though. All it takes is one cycle. Is he going to get it? I still see the nuke going off from the Rattlesnake. I think he's still got a lock.
So yeah, this is looking close. At this rate, those Gillas might be just smacking themselves, regretting that feed right now.
Tank's going into armor. Apoc is in hull now. He's got no rep at all. He's just buffer, so he's running out. Rattlesnake's going through armor as well. He's at least got some shield regen. All it takes is one jam. Come on, Hornets, I know I don't really usually vote for you, but please, please get one jam cycle off.
If I was the Jackdaw right now, I might actually consider going in at 0 to that Apoc, trying to bait him into throwing a couple shots at me just to give this Rattlesnake a headshot. But the Rattlesnake is probably going to pull ahead here.
I actually think he got the jam. No, never mind. No, he didn't. He just didn't fire the nuke anymore.
Oh, oof, that was close. But a really good shot from both teams here.
That was actually surprising. All it was going to take was one cycle, one jam, and he would have gotten it.
I think those Apocs would have been a lot better ahead here if they just went for that Bassi a lot sooner. Like,
oh my God, yes.
I don't know why they were wasting so much time on the Gila. Unfortunately, that Bassi was doing a good job. Well, not unfortunately, good for them. It was doing a good job of keeping up the Gila. But they should have realized a lot sooner, being their long-range tracking comp, go for the Logi.
So to mention, like, here's the thing, right? Maybe thought perhaps there was some sort of tinker. They had a Rattlesnake next to a Basilisk. They maybe thought maybe he's going to try and tinker this. Whether the rules allow that or not, I don't bloody know. But
no, we don't allow tinkers here. The main way a tinker existed in the past was fitting a remote cap transfer on other ships, be it even like a large on the Gila or Rattlesnake. But in this format, we have prohibited capacitor transfers on anything besides a Logi cruiser. Yeah,
that's what I expected. But I assumed that maybe they'd forgotten that. I thought Rattlesnake next to a Bassi and just had PTSD and immediately thought that. But they had the Hyena as well. So if that's not their thought pattern, why were they not shooting the Basilisk? They could have painted the hell out of it, so even the bloody even the large lasers could hit the thing. Why weren't they shooting it? I don't get it.
Well, something we might not be aware of here is obviously we're looking at these comps for the first time. What could have happened is they might have had another scrim parter where in their practices from what they've seen is when they've been presented a Gila in such a manner, it was a prime target to go for the Gila first. Obviously, it didn't pan out for them here. From our perspective, seeing this match, hey, the Gila, the Bassi was the thing to go for. But sometimes the target calls that these teams make can just be almost like muscle memory that they've put on themselves from the scrims with certain partners.
Yeah, or from previous tournaments. I am blaming Tinker PTSD for that one. I don't see any other way that would have worked that way. I suspect they just saw it and went, "Oh, that's Tinker. We can't kill that. Let's pick up the small stuff."
That's true. One thing I was surprised about from the Apoc side of things, you could see they had drones around them a lot of the times. It was damaged drones, and the drones stayed around them because I doubt they had any high slots to sacrifice for extra drone link augmenters. So they were stuck with their base control range, which I believe is around 60 kilometers. So they might be suffering to have gotten their drones out of there. So they were just sitting back there. What I would have expected from a team like that who was planning to kind of just hunker up, especially if no props, is to have dedicated their drone base to rep drones, which would have given them quite a bit of edge there as well.
What I saw there was at least one set of Valkyries as well as a set of Hornet ECs. The Hornets, fair enough. I hate them, but that's fair. The Valkyries did actually kill off the Harpy, or the Hawk, sorry. So that was, fair. But it's like, if you're going to sit there for the next 5 minutes, you have no Logi anywhere to be seen, just bring a set of rep drones. It doesn't matter if it gives you like 30 HP a second. It's better than 0.
For sure. And as well, if you consider we thought, they were pretty much sacrificing all their mids for tracking and sensor and all that, but we saw the grapples being featured there at the end, leading to the death of the Hawk or Harpy and the 2 Gillas. So especially if you knew you had those grapples to counter anything coming in close and you have the tracking, you wouldn't need the DPS drones to counteract anything that was flying at you that close.
Yeah, like the DPS drones, I do like having them, fair enough, but in that situation, they needed rep drones. If they either give up the Hornets or give up the damage drones, I don't care which one it is. But having no Logi at all, no rep at all, no nothing, just relying on pure armor HP, that's not going to work. You're not going to be able to last it, especially against a comp that knows that and just sits at the right range.
Yeah, for sure. I think the nice thing we're seeing today is piloting and team positioning is coming a lot more into play, which is good. It's not just teams smashing themselves at each other. Obviously, we're seeing some no Logi comps and rush at each other. But what the tactics that these teams have been using, whether it be withdrawals or just having some patience and maintaining your information at the back, has really led to some being the main reason for some victories we've been seeing.
Are you saying there's something wrong with Blaster Rush? No, I'm kidding, mate. But I do agree with you. Sure, there's seen people do people pull the right plays most of the time. And it's good to see people make mistakes because it happens. You can't be perfect every round, but it also shows you can see what people have learned the right stuff and when to do certain things. The biggest one I will say for the rest of the day is that essentially what was a rush comp versus a rush comp, and one comp went, "Oh, we're going to lose the DPS race. Pull away, kill off easy ships, come back in."
That's fantastic. And that's also where it comes into play of doing a lot of these matchups and having correct scrum partners and such. Is just you have the experience to draw upon, and you can look at this and just know I've seen this before. I know what's going to happen. This is what we do.
Exactly. Honestly, I love those moments in here where you just have that moment. You're like, I know what's going to happen here. I can see it all. Go for this ship, and you just watch everything just fall into place like it's a perfect little puzzle. Those moments are great.
And now we're going, I believe, actually into the last game. So we have the teams taking the field here right now. If we just go over the bands that we have featured for this match.
No worries, mate. We are 4 banned out. Rattlesnake, Vindicator, Sleipnir. So 2 powerful shield ships and 1 powerful blaster battleship. And then Fwaming Dwagon banned out the Hyena, which is a great control ship. Tvipple? I don't know either. And then Drekavac, which I like the ban. I feel like you're in the wrong tournament. We're not seeing them at the moment.
Especially in this format, we've also put a limit on that you're only allowed 1 Triglavian ship in any setup. So if you took the Drek, you wouldn't have been able to take the Zarm, for instance, or if you took a either way around. So there's only 1 trigger out of any stage. But also the Drek, like you say, it's not really that much here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised it's not here. I guess the cost is probably making it not an optional favorite choice, but you've got a ship that can fire off command burst, put out a butt ton of DPS, tank like a monster, and have enough mids to do what it needs to do. I'm surprised we haven't seen more of them. But that ban is still out of the blue.
It is, and we have the countdown starting, and it'll be taking the field soon. But again, we have a team coming in at 0 here, Hyperions. Double Hyperion featured again, one of the most lovely 2-1 battleships you'll see. Quite effective for its point cost. While the enemy team, red team, looks like it's going to be doing a drone kiting setup with the Ishtars and Dummy most likely, and they're off to start.
See what these Hyperions try and grab. I wonder if the tackle ships might try and grab something small, but you see immediately bounces are all put out. I expect to see a frigate or 2 maybe try and get obliterated. Are they going to pick up a frigate or are they going to go for the battleships? I'm very curious.
Seems like the hypes were a bit slow off the start, but we have drones also coming out from them now. Not rep bots. Looks like they're focusing on damage bots. So they're going to have some travel time going in. But once you see those bots coming in, it's going to be interesting to see what's going to be on. It looks like the drones are following after the Onero slow, so while they're slowly creeping in. But we have the Gila of Alvera just sitting there at 0. I'm not sure if that's a disconnect.
No, he's not got drones. Has he got drones out? I don't know what he's doing. It looks like the worm is being punished.
It's finally moving.
Navy's being hit too. Hey, he's woken up. I guess they're going straight for the T2 Logi. That's fair enough. You need to get rid of that or you can't really kill things. That being said, though, 2 Hyperions worth of damage can bust through T2 reps. So I guess they just wanted to make sure.
So that Oneris is trying to run away from the attack of the worm. Looks like the Ares, Pontifex, and Vengeance are going on to screening duty. They've stopped the 1 worm. Although we have the Cyclone also looks like, although the Vengeance has now intercepted that Cyclone and tackle.
Vex and Navy, my god. That's so much drone damage. You got 3 sets of bounces, I suspect, just pounding on. Actually, they're switching over. They're switching over? No, they still got him. My bad. Wrong team switching over.
And the 1 worm goes down now, so that's one of the tackle potentials. So that Oneris is kind of just running free right now. We still have the drone cloud from the blue team chasing him around, so it does seem that the Oneris is definitely that priority, but red team is doing a really good job of screening any tackle that's going to hold that Oneris down.
The thing as well is the Oneris is faster than the Hyperions right now. You expect that sounds like pretty normal, but he's absolutely heating that as hard as he can. And there's other Dominics as well. He's actually keeping ahead of his Oneros to the point that he's staying directly ahead of the Hyperion and just newting the hell out of him. And you can tell the Hype doesn't want to try and fight him. The Hype does not want to fight the Dominics. He's going after the Oneros.
Yeah, those hypes are chasing him down. Every now and then a bit of a web effect gets applied to Oneros. It's like the grapplers at very long fall trying to grab onto the Oneros. But unfortunately, the kiting this Oneros is doing and keeping its range, those grapplers aren't effective. We see a VNI going down again.
Yep, that VNI got caught down and destroyed. Looks like the Hyperions are both dropping their newts onto the Dominics while they're still trying to catch this Oneros. Like, bravo to Daniel Sunkist. I don't know how you're still alive, man. You're doing great work. Keep it up.
I think an unfortunate part here is the drone choice that's happened here. As you see, it's actually Ogre 2's chasing him. Now, if those are something like Zerkers, and Galente actually have a lower resistance to explosive, although he's probably patched it up with a hardener, but Berserkers would have also been faster and likely have caught up to that Neros and been applying a lot more damage at this stage as well. Ogre's just being a slow choice to chase a kitey ship.
Yeah, I feel like they went all in on the damage thing there, hoping they can catch things, but they didn't really have the comp to catch things. They really shouldn't have brought Ogres. Honestly, as far as I'm concerned, they should have brought heavy rep bots. Have one up here and rep the other one up, you know?
Especially if you have that, but the worm boundary.
Oh, what?
Apparently we have a boundary being called out, I believe, by one of the worms. Not too sure. We'll get a clarification on that.
Boo, heretic.
Yes, I saw him at 130 kilometers, which is 5 kilometers past boundary.
Okay, so we definitely have a boundary then on that.
Fair enough. I don't think he's even... Yeah, I think he died anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Oh, it's a bit tough now. Red team sitting here with their amazing kiting logi still keeping up. Hyperion's unfortunately still trying to commit onto that, but just not able to sink their teeth quite into it, though.
Honestly, bravo to Daniel Sunkist Lennon. Look, he's got their entire team chasing him the entire time. He actually runs back in to get a burst from his teammates so he can even run a spec even faster. I think that might have been a skirmish burst, but it might be an armor, to be honest.
Well, he's definitely done a good job, but like from my perspective, I'd also have to say like one of the winning things they've done here is their screening. The Eris, the Pontifex, the Vengeance, so the pilots of Oblob, Eteria, and Nicola, they've actually done a really good job of screening from our Neros when the Worms and the Cyclone were coming in, because it seemed like they were quite clear in their communication on who was going to screen who, so that they didn't have overlapping tackle, giving the Neros the opportunity to get away.
Oh no! The Ishtar DC'd right as the Hyperions get onto him.
That's unfortunate.
Not good. Funny thing is, though, they're going too fast. I think they actually bumped him. They gave him transversal. Congratulations, you've been moved. Are they even shooting him? Are they even trying?
They have some.
There we go.
They're
now shooting. They're now shooting. They were just nuding him and not doing anything. Now they're finally shooting him. If they can't even kill this Ishtar, which is DC'd, I'm going to be embarrassed. Nope, they can't even kill him. He's not even moving. He's at like 2 MS, now going down to 1.
Maybe they have a conscience and they decided to not shoot him and wait till he comes back.
Absolutely not. They are actively shooting him.
We also see a huge robot cloud onto the Ares as well, keep him up, although not really necessary.
Honestly, just control space, Hyperions. Just stop moving, control space, and try and kill him. Also, you notice that the Hyperions both have nukes fitted. There's not a single smart bomb as far as I'm aware on their team. And look how many drones are around them.
Yeah,
wouldn't you like to have a single smart bomb? Wouldn't you like
it would help for sure. The smart bombs are nice against. Well, to be fair, they wouldn't do that much against the Domi and the Ishtar. I think they'd do a better job of killing your own capacitor at this stage without much trade, because what would happen, you'd spend about 20 cycles. So that's quite a lot of time, being like 7.5 seconds per cycle, killing that one volley, and all the Domi guys is great. Let me just launch another wave.
I love this. Ishtar is legit AFK. He's actually DC'd, and he is still tanking to Hyperion. That is true mad mode tanking. I don't need to beat the keyboard or even logged into the game to beat you.
To be fair, that is an Oneros.
Shush. We know, we agree, but don't ruin my meta.
I think also it's all this Repbot cloud they have as well, also contributing to that. And like you say, just the lack of smart bombs is being annoying. Like, I can understand why, like, for argument's sake, the choice of ogres and newts, they might have been looking to go into a brawl matchup and just having that extra edge. But unfortunately, in this, with the Kaidion Neros and all the drones, not having the smart bomb is not working out for them right now.
Starts warping off, by the way. Ishar's actually warping off. If he warps off,
and we see the Hyperion dipping into structure, so this match will be over. Did he E-warp?
Yes.
Yeah, he E-warped. They only had webs.
Of note to those who might be watching this for the first time, people don't normally keep points on people to stop them from warping off. Obviously, it's happened now because it was a disconnect, but normally in arena setup, the only points you would normally have are scrams, and that's purely to shut off micro warp drives.
All right, he's back. He just logged back in, so I think it counts as a boundary that he warped off.
Yes, that is true. Like whatever happens, like if you were, regardless of circumstances, if you go outside 125 kilometers of the center of the arena, you boundary.
Oh my god, that is still just amazing. He gave exactly 0 shits, tanked it all, then he warped out.
Oh, that's a bit unfortunate, but hey, a nice loss for our last match of the day. We see them wrapping up here with the Hyperion dipping into low armor finally.
Yeah, I mean, I get that they went after the Oneirus as hard as they did. I mean, fair enough, they needed to kill it, but they had 2 nukes fitted, one Hyperion, each Hyperion. They had all ogres. They were like a full-on brawl comp, and the moment they saw that, it's like, okay, we really should have, caught this Oneirus with anything else. Honestly, bring web drones. I've legit seen them work. Bring anything but just ogres.
Ogres is also, to me, a bit of an interesting choice because they are their main DPS source is Hyperions. So Hyperions will be using blasters with their damage being thermal and kinetic. So they're locked to that. Like lasers are locked to EM and thermal. Projectiles have a bit more choice. Missiles can choose whatever they want. So being damage locked to kinetic thermal, to me, it's interesting that they would choose ogres as their damage. I would personally have chosen Praetors or Zerkers just to have EM or explosive in the mix. The main reason just being because something called reactive hardeners exist, which react to which damage source is coming in. So if you're dumping all your damage into this thermal and a bit of kinetic, that hardener is just going to shift all the way over and just cancel out most of that thermal damage coming in.
I agree, yeah.
Fun fact, their Oneirus pilot is so busy right now that he's actually talking in Twitch chat.
Cruel. To be fair, though, he's only versing a single Hyperion he's tackled down, and there's even an Eris next to the Hyperion.
Well, Hyperion is doing
Eris,
a good job
right?
of tanking here as we in our last couple of seconds. Well, I think we have about 30 seconds left in the match.
Yeah. But yeah, like they went after the Oneirus hard, but they shouldn't have brought ogres. Bring Zerkers. I would even say bring the EM drones, but honestly, just Zerkers are the fastest, so they're the better call. And what was he doing with his other drones? He's got warriors, I think. Yeah, he brought warriors, so he's got 2 sets of light drones plus 1 set of medium.
I don't know. Like the Hypes can field 1 wave of heavies, so this might have been from somewhere else, so he might have scooped them.
They can bring more. They have more than just a heavy set.
Oh, sorry, I'm looking at the bandwidth on 25.
They have 50 MS left, M3 left, whatever.
Well, that's our last match for the day. So that was an interesting, cheeky disconnect there at the end, making things spicy for everyone.
But yeah, that's how you flex by accident. Ouch. But honestly, bravo to Daniel Sunkus Lelelek. That was some beautiful piloting there, and
bravo to his green team as well.
Oh yeah, the whole team was great, but come on, he did.
No, that was wonderful, just kiting around. Yeah, it's always glorious when you're in the lodge and you're just seeing this trail of tears behind you called the drone cloud.
People coming directly for you, yeah, like their entire team is chasing just you, and you're the person that they care about. You're just like, yeah, I'm not gonna die.
I mean, that being said, I mean, we can give as much credit and make fun of everything as possible, but I do believe they did still make the right choice, understanding like, hey, we do need it. Like them killing that Ishtar at the end and still not being able to kill it on disconnect confirms what they needed to do of going for light on Oneirus. Yeah. So while it was tough and they were going to have a hard time, the reality is if they went for something else, they would have been wasting their time anyway. So the right thing was to go for Oneirus. Unfortunately, they couldn't get it, but if they went for anything else, it just would have been the same outcome.
And I also, in that situation, I would have brought at least 1 smart bomb. Like, no 2 nukes, like, from 1 in each Hyperion. Bring 1 with a smart bomb. Doesn't matter if it doesn't do great against Dominic's drones. If you can at least force him to stop putting drones on you for even a moment, that's worth it. Especially if you're not bringing rep drones yourself, which they were not. So, yeah, bring 1 smart bomb at least, please.
Yeah, let's show us that. So that's it for this today. I'm not too sure if we have anything else planned or that's all.
Well, what do you think about the other matches today?
There's been some great ones. There really has. Like we mentioned multiple times, like the play from, I don't remember the team's name and what's driving me insane, but the play to pull away and kill Hecates was just perfectly executed.
Yeah, I think it's when we had basically, was it Sleps versus Sleps, but one of them was a no Logi rush with Hecate's mixed in. Was that it?
Exactly that. Yep. And the other one had
Yeah.
2 Logi frigates.
Yeah, and also D-Line Force featuring no bans, but
And
also
winning all their
putting their
matches.
but them putting the long range attack battle cruisers to good use as well, paid off for them. We have seen, I think, some matches could have gone a lot differently if there was a different target choice. We've had the match where we saw damage being split between 2 Harbingers and the Augurer with the Hyperions, where we kind of suggested that, if they just focused the Aug and then the Harbinger, they probably would have pulled ahead on that one. And then as well, when we saw the APOC Navy tracking comps, once again, and just kind of wasting their time trying to whale into Gila while Abassi was still alive, and eventually making the decision to go into Abassi. So target choice being a thing and very important.
Weird to see, because in this situation, normally you tend to see like less better piloting, but good target calling. Now we've seen the opposite, where everyone's flying pretty damn well, but their target calls have been a little less than perfect. I feel like I'm in like some mirror universe of Eve right now. This isn't right.
What I found interesting today is that we saw quite the spread in comms in general, right? Like right at the start, we had the high DPS comms, and then right after that, we have some kiting comms, and then we actually have a comp that is like tanking for 5 minutes straight.
Yeah, we've had a nice variation in the style or archetypes of the comps. You've had the brawling mirror matches, no Logi being quite featured as well, which was interesting to me. People making quite use of that. And like you say, the turtle comps setting back, the Kitey Jones. So quite a nice variety we're seeing. So hopefully that also means when we get to the actual tournament, we'll see quite a nice variety there. Although maybe we'll just see everyone shift to one meta-defining comp as well.
It tends to happen. People find that one thing that works. And honestly, the comp that D-Line kept bringing, that Naga comp, I don't think we'll see that in the actual tournament, but as it is, it's actually a pretty solid comp. But I suspect to see it counted pretty quickly.
Oh, that's true. But as mentioned also in chat here, like drones does seem to be a big focus now. Even when you're not exactly in a drone ship like we saw in these Hyperions, drones and how you use them, whether it be your choice on them, or for that match we saw with Hyperions of maybe Ogres versus Zerkers, or when we were watching the APOC match of rep bots versus DPS bots, and even just having the Ishtars, the Dummies of T2 German drones actually seem to be a really subtle but important choice teams need to make in these setups right now.
An interesting thing as well is all the drones we're seeing generally are super tanky ones. Dominic's, Ishtar, Gila. These are just ridiculously tanky drones that no one's bothered to defang, because for a fact, if you start defanging this, you'll be there for the next 10 minutes defanging those drones.
Oh, that's the worst. Like you spend all this time defanging like a Gila or Rattlesnake drone, and it's just like,
drop 5 more.
Here's another one.
But
there you go, do it all over again.
I mean, in previous Anger games, we've seen that the double frigate Logi comps were quite strong, right? Because you only have 7 people on grid, so you are quite limited in DPS. And these drone comms actually counter most of those quite well.
Oh, that's for sure. And what you actually saw here, which is also another good example of this last match of the Oneras, a feature which the T2 Logi cruisers have, or even, well, I'd say T2, because normally when you use T1 Logi, you normally go AB, but that's another conversation. But what the cruiser Logis have advantage over the Frig Logi is kiting potential. A lot of the times the Frig Logi will just be AB. We have seen MWD before, but a lot of times they'll be AB, relying on their signature radius for tanking, which then these drones kind of just negate and blap out. But the cruiser Logis can then fly around and kite these drones, while having the long ranger reps to still rep whatever is getting hit. So you could have the Frig Logi kite as well, but then they have the problem that they're kiting away from their own team and they can't rep their own team anymore. But the cruiser Logi can still.
Yeah, the Frig Logi is stuck on a tether at all times. You have to be within 10k essentially, which means you can't run away. You're stuck there. You have to tank it, which means they are AB fit.
Which is weird. You mentioned the Zarmast earlier. While it does only have one main rep, it can fit medium reps, which do not get a range bonus. So it almost acts like a frigate logi with like one powerful rep that has enough range to rep at like 40 kilometers.
Yeah, that's actually true. That also another advantage the Zarm has is it actually reps up to 72 kilometers, I believe. The problem is it has no fall. So once you go beyond that, it shuts down. You have to start again and get in range. But it does have, I think, 3 extra high slots which it can put reps in. If you were to chuck some medium reps in there, it does do a bit extra. It doesn't have the range advantage like you said, but it's still roughly 10 kilometers. So anything's close for it. The main problem normally is when fast switches happen. So let's say you're repping your primary and some support like a Kitsune is getting hit. They can't really hug around you because if they hug around you, they die. So they'll be kiting, and then your medium reps can't get them. But it definitely is a nice thing to have, like you've mentioned, is it's not only that pure one trigger rep it has, it can still fit normal reps.
Yeah, but come on, Zarmad's not a real ship. It's not a real logi.
I mean,
it can't react as well.
Last week, we did see a comp that was doing very well at the beginning with their Zarmast.
Nope, lies, heresy. Nope, they did not do good. They are terrible ships. But like they are tanky, they have great range. They are good as they are. But what we always see when people start bringing them is that once you start relying on a Zarmad's like extra reps, they're just going to switch targets and just delete the next ship.
I mean, so it could work in combination with like an ECM team. The Zarm's also priced cheaper, so people might choose it because of that as well. But like you said, it's target switching. It's when it's a mechanic or a strategy which can negate your ship and not like a ship, and
not cost you anything too.
When the fact of just merely switching targets negates your biggest power on a ship, that's not always a good sign.
Yeah, as you said, like the ECM comp is the one thing I can see them really working. Like if you bring like a double Rook or Falcon, or even bringing a bloody Scorpion or a Widow, going full ECM and having them have to target the ship which you then rep up, that can definitely work. But I'm not sure how the points work out with that. We haven't seen it happen yet, so maybe people are saving that comp, or maybe it just doesn't work. But beyond that, as you said, and as I said, the moment you switch, you've destroyed the Zarmad, or at least you've destroyed the one thing it's capable of doing. But it's useless at that point. It's not a real ship.
Yeah. Like you either, it's just like you say. I mean, we've probably discussed this dead now. But the free logi choices, I think another like advantage of free logi in general is just bans as well. Is they're difficult to ban out. So people might you can ban a Deacon, the Thalia shows up, and if you ban the Thalia as well, it's people can just do another comp. You've wasted 2 bans on banning 2 little freak ships as well. The free logis are quite equal, I want to say. They do have their different advantages. I think the Deacon has an HP advantage, the Thalia has a SIG advantage. They have a bit of a different slot layout, but like when it comes down to it, there's no real difference between a Thalia and a Deacon and a Scalpel and a Kirin. Like they have little switches, but so that's another advantage they have for them. It's like they're quite interchangeable in comps.
That's the one real benefit is that, like as you said, you can't really ban them, you can't really affect them. If you banned out both armor T2 Logi Frigs, they could just bring the shield setup and just be about the same thing anyway. They're really hard to get rid of, and the one negative they have is, of course, you're bringing 2 of them at short range. You have to bring 2 within 10k. So it's like, yeah, they have their benefits, they have their negatives, and it's good to see how they react, how people start bringing them, and how people avoid killing them too. Like, notice how long it takes for them to shoot these bloody things. Those Geelers spent half the match ignoring the Thalias. Or the Deacons.
A lot of people don't have confidence in their ability to kill Frig Logi, because I know, from personal experience, what happens a lot of time, you get up in the scrim and you might be having a new comp, or maybe you're still warming up or something, and you'll try and kill a free logi, and it's not working. That thing is just, with its AB and SIG, it's just wasting your time. So you kind of sometimes end up with the circumstance where teams get in and they have this preconception of this ship is hard to kill. And that preconception a lot of times stops them from going it. And then eventually they'll go through the match, and the stalemate or the frustration of not being able to kill anything will eventually force them to switch to these Deacons or the Frig Logi. And then they'll suddenly say, whoa, well, we killed it. Oh, cool. Like, then they'll carry on. Like, that might have happened in that other match where we suddenly saw it was a bit of a stalemate. I think it was with the Geddon versus the Simi. And then suddenly just a Deacon disappeared. That team might have thought, like, hey, we have Hams, they have Curses, they have the Jackdaw doing E-War disruption. We don't really have confidence in ourselves to kill these Deacons. Let's do something else. And eventually, the match went on so long that they just thought, like, look, we know it's not a good idea. Let's just go for it, though.
Interesting thing as well is that, knowing from TQ as well, talking about killing off these small logi ships, we've also seen in TQ where a Rattlesnake can get a one lucky shot off with a wrecking shot and delete your ship from which drone. So the drone meta we've been seeing kind of wraps back around to how they can also kill off logi frigates just by getting lucky. Just roll the dice to see what you hit.
Especially with those sentries. Like, if you just have the entire enemy team locked up and you just wait for them to make a mistake, you just take a snapshot and they're gone.
Yeah. All you can do is just have a set of mediums or heavies, and at some point they will hit. Like, they'll roll the dice, roll that 1%, and actually just take out your ship in a single blow. And honestly, it's kind of interesting to see that, once again, going back to both logi frigs and drone comps, the drone comp is kind of the counter to the logi frig at the moment. See if that changes.
All right. Well, we are going to go and raid a solo null PvP in a moment here. Before we do, I want to say thank you to all the teams who showed up today. We had a lot of fun here. I hope you guys had a lot of fun as well. We don't know if we're going to be back next weekend because it's Easter, but be sure to follow us on Twitter or get on our Discord, and you will find out, I'd say, tomorrow. Right?
Oh, 24 hours.
Oh, no pressure, right? So, Wingnut, Zoo, thanks again for leading us through these matches today. And yeah, let's head over.
Right, thanks.
So much.